I've been looking for someone to put up with my bullshit. I can't even leave my bedroom, so I keep pouring. And I ain't seen no light of day since, well, that's not important. It's been long. And I was feeling Whitney, me and my homie sipped Houston. Causing close, thought I was winning. You knew I was losing. You told me to wake up, but my clock always stays on snoozing. I'm done. To each their own and find peace in knowing. And you know it's broken, but here's the hoping. Show no emotion against your coding. Just act as hard as you can. You don't need a friend, boy, you're the man. Ooh, 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 And I've been looking for someone that I can buy my drugs from. It seems like every plug we needs to Utah became Mormons. Drought comes on around, feels like I have no one to depend on. Sober. I had 80 beers on Tuesday night. I had nothing to do with it. I put on a little Dwight and sang a happy tune and lit a cigarette, stepped out the door, had an appearance, drank more. To each their own and find peace in knowing. Ain't always broken, but here's the hoping. Show no emotion against your coding. Just act as hard as you can. You don't need a friend, boy, you're the man.
What up, everybody? Before we get started, we're about to get started with the showcase. Okay. Pop off, put this thing down.
Motherfucker! I won't stop until I find her. Emily?
What's going on, guys? Your boy Showtime Statch, and we are here with MMA Empire. Now, clearly, I don't have a degree in video game marketing, so this is going to be as good as we get for a trailer, but welcome. I'm glad you guys have joined us. MMA Empire is an MMA management style game where you can sign fighters, schedule fights, expand territory, and become the greatest MMA company in the world. There's a lot of interesting features in this game. I hope I can run them over with you. If you guys are interested, you can download this game. It's going to be free to play on Steam. On the screen here, we're overgoing the navigation and the tutorial menu. But the important things to know in this game, fighters are all different. They have different stats, they have different styles, and this affects their personal success, how each fight turns out. And matching up these styles is very important. So there's a strategy involved there. You can upgrade your gym facilities to improve your fan turnout, your monetary success. Eventually, you can expand into different regions, compete against other rival companies, and even buy out these companies, take over their roster, take over their fans, and eventually become the one to rule them all. But overall, I think this is a great opportunity for people who've always wanted this kind of experience, but the AAA market hasn't given it to them. You have to turn to the indies, and here we are. So if you guys, sounds interesting to you, please try it out. This is a one-man army. MMA Empire. Build your empire and start your legacy today.
Welcome back, everyone, to the High Tide Indie Game Showcase. Today, I'm joined with Ita, the founder and game developer of The Time I Have Left. And I'm excited to discuss with Ita, and I'm also joined by Heathen and Rez, some High Tide creators. And in fact, I do want to start, Ita, by saying that the guy in the hockey jersey, in the orange hockey jersey, he actually recommended this game to me. So he's the reason why we're having this interview. He even downloaded your game. He's excited to be here today.
Thank you. Yeah, big time.
Awesome. So I always start off every interview with these game developers the same way. I always like to start by asking them, what was your inspiration to create your game?
Okay, so this was a little bit from personal experience, mostly, because I've been working on several projects indie projects with their friends and the like for a long time. Those things never really materialized. It was like someone had to work to do, someone had to their studies, and all those projects fell through. So I wanted to make. I started to feel like I was getting a little bit old, and I really wanted to make something of my own. So that was when I started this project, and all this concept about the time came from that point.
Okay, interesting. So the time I have left to die is kind of double entendre too with what you were feeling in your life and wanting to create an indie game.
Yeah, it's not as dramatic. Like I'm too old and I'm gonna die, but it's kind of like that period where you start feeling like, okay, maybe I'm getting too old to make this that I want to, that I've always wanted to. But yeah, that was kind of like the original idea that turned out to be that I have left later on.
I like that. It's existential, but not really, just a little existential. While you were developing this game, walk us through your development journey. What was the biggest challenge you faced while developing The Time I Have Left?
Yeah, so I think the biggest challenge that we had to face was that we created our studio, and we had to sustain it for a long time while still working on the game, and we didn't manage to get a publisher, and all that situation that brought us eventually to close our studio was kind of like the hardest part of it all. And it was actually after we had to close that we found like a new way and a new motivation to keep working on it, and I would come to the point where we are now. So we are kind of past what we believe was the hardest part.
Interesting. So you mentioned how your first studio kind of closed and you had to hit the drawing boards, reassess, and come back stronger. Do you mind elaborating more on that and how you guys came back?
Yeah. So we've been working on this game for a long time now. We started like everyone else with just 2 people working on this, on prototypes. But we managed to get our studio running. We found some small support, but to build a studio and try and live from making games, which was one of our our dreams. But yeah, at one point we didn't manage to get a publisher for this project. We were receiving very positive feedback from people playing it. We were very confident in it, but we didn't manage to get the support that we needed to keep the studio running. So we tried everything we could. We went to events. We went to pitch to publishers and investors. We tried a Kickstarter, which also didn't make its goal. And at that point, we were ready to close everything and return to our previous lives. But at this point we already had found like an audience for the project. And we started getting support from that audience, people that really wanted to see the game completed and were really supportive about this. So we are very invested in this project as well. So we decided to keep going on and try to keep searching for support, but the other way. We are kind of doing things the other way around. We started with the company, and then we are back at being like full indie, at least for now. So
Very interesting. So I do like how you mentioned that the community and the audience you built around your game was like so passionate and wanted to see the game finished that they kind of helped support you and help support the studio. That's very honestly inspiring. What do you think is the biggest reason why you've built such a like a strong community behind The Time I Have Left?
Well, we've been working on this for a while, so we went to a lot of events. We had a chance to talk face to face with people that really like the game, and we managed to to kind of meet with them several years in a row. We went to Gamescom at Germany like 3 years in a row, and we've been really touched that some people came 3 years in a row to see how the game was evolving. They remembered us. They were asking what new things we have been putting in. And at that stage, we had a very small audience. Well, at that point, we still have like very very small audience, but it was kind of like very very small. But these kinds of interactions are what keeps the passion going, right? It's what pushes you to, okay, there's someone, at least there's a very few people out there that are looking forward to play this game, and that's reason enough to trust, keep pushing ourselves to complete it.
Raz, Eden, do you have any questions you'd like to ask?
Yeah, I'm curious. What game engine or tools did you use to create this?
Okay, so we started on Unreal Engine 4, and then we moved to Unreal Engine 5. It may not look like it at first. Some people say that yes, it's obvious, but some people don't. And that's because we really try to have a very distinct visual style. So some people kind of have don't see that Unreal is under all this. But yeah, we are not using any. It's very art driven in terms that we are not pushing any technology. We try to keep things very cheap, so to say, in terms of performance. We try to make a game that it's very performant and can run on all machines, and it's all in the in how we use.
I haven't had the chance.
We really haven't improved anything from when we were working on Unreal Engine 4. Everything that is done on 5 would have been done on 4. But still, we think that we found a visual style that works really well with this engine. So
yeah, it's a very visually appealing game. Even just watching the trailer, I love the lighting, and like I'm a sucker for the neon lights and that whole vibe of games. I just love the atmosphere and those kinds of games. So I do like the visual art style. What has player feedback been from demos or betas so far?
Okay, so there's like always there's a little bit of everything, but there's been mostly positive. At first it was majorly positive from the people that got to play it at events, and the very first people that tried our very first demo back in 2022 when we announced the game. We had like a very first demo, which was really unpolished, but we really wanted to try and validate all the weird things that we were doing in terms of systems, in terms of we were trying a lot of things, and we wanted to see if we were going in the right way. And people were very, very positive at that stage. And of course, some people said that we were lacking some polish and all that, which they still say about the current demo, which is totally fair, and we're still working on that. But yeah, it's generally it's been positive, but we are aware, and it's a little bit by design, that this game is quite niche. It's not for everyone, and let's say, not because it's very difficult or it has a lot of hurdles or anything like that. We are trying to be very accessible, but at the same time, its design philosophy is very, very, let's say, obtuse in several ways. We're trying to make this a little bit more approachable. But yeah, the idea is that not everyone instantly vibes with what we are trying to make. We have like this timer, but we have turn-based combat. We have a part of exploration, but there's like a mix of different genres and different ideas, and not everyone is super open to this mix of ideas at first. But we've noticed that
I need to catch up the first time we saw that.
kind of reach a certain point in the demo, then they get hooked, so to say, and they stay and they really like what we are trying to achieve. So this is the kind of people that we are aiming for, the people that kind of have this open mind to try this kind of workbooks, but at the same time we are trying to make that barrier of entry a little bit more low, so people can pass this point, this critical point for us.
To flip the script a little bit, I know you said you guys were already a company and had to switch back to kind of being a indie game studio again.
Yep.
Are there any other studios or games you guys look at that you have modeled kind of your pathway for the game after, in terms of whether it be like what you were talking about in terms of distribution or even in terms of just investment for your game?
So I don't know if I got the question exactly. So if we are looking at the certain studios like a model or...
Yes. That's more so what I was
What's up,
asking.
boys? My bad, I'm late. The
Have you modeled
contractor
your
is here.
studio after any other studios
you
that are
all good,
doing
bro.
things
Like I said,
similar,
no-
or are you
no
guys
rush,
trying to do your
'cause,
own
Yeah,
thing
I'm sorry about
completely?
that. I was like, I want to be on this,
so
and then
after
like
after closing the
5:55, he
studio,
knocked on the
we
door and was
decided
like,
that we
yo, I said, fuck.
couldn't afford on a personal level to go back to where we were, because we invested a lot of our personal money and our lives on that project. It was the previous studio, and that didn't work out how we wanted. So there's been a period of trying to come back and trying to restructure our own lives. So right now we are focusing on getting more work with the game done. And so we are still searching for support. We're still trying to find ways to find some financing and try to dedicate ourselves to this full time. But it's very different than how it was before, because we really, at this point, we can't go back exactly to that. It's not really an option for us unless we manage to find some external support on this.
Okay. When looking at your trailer, I notice obviously just the girl, following her around the map, watching her explore. Do you want to kind of give an explanation or give us some tidbits on what the story part of The Time I Have Left is about?
Yeah. So The Time I Have Left follows Aline, she called, which is a young woman that has an affection that will kill her in just 6 hours. It's like the premise of the game is that you will be dead in 6 hours. And we can really talk a lot about what does that mean for the game, but the story that the game happens during the 6 hours, and it's about her trying to escape this complex where she's trapped, which is called Colony 7. So you will have to kind of guide her and explore this place, a set of clues, and try to find your way out within that 10-day.
Okay.
Of things will happen. So I can tell a lot, but yeah, you can expect at least 6 hours, which is really kind of misleading because the timer aspect of the game is not completely real time. It stops or slows down depending on the play style that you decide the beginning of the game. When you are in combat or in menus, so it's 6 hours of actual exploration plus time spent in menus plus time spent in combat and other tricks we have.
Interesting. So I just want to ask you a couple more questions on the game's mechanics. I saw in the trailer that you showed a key, and it looked like you could change the ridges on the key. What is that about?
Yeah. So this is not in the current demo. It's something that will be part of the game starting from chapter 2. And it's actually a key that you can reconfigure times. You can change its pattern to open different doors. And it's a key that you will have in your possession for a while, and you will have to find the correct pattern to open different doors. So it's kind of like we really wanted the narrative aspect of the game to be something that had coherence with the world that we were building. And it really didn't make much sense for us that the protagonist was finding lots of keys around. So there's a story reason for having this key and this system in place.
Okay. That's just cool. That's a neat little mechanic that's in the game that kind of stood out to me just in the trailer. And if you put in the trailer, I knew it was for a reason, so I was just curious what that mechanic was. Are there any other features or mechanics in the game that you're proud of, or things that you think even players might not notice, but you're still proud of?
Yeah, there's I don't know if there's a mechanic that people won't notice, because it's all very intertwined and it's very, very active. But there's a lot of references to many games that we love hidden there that are very, very subtle. It's not something that is quite obvious. It's kind of like those who know. And every time someone catches one of those, it makes us happy, because it's kind of, we put it there like a very, very hidden Easter egg, and people still notice this kind of things. And it's great. And we're lucky.
Cool. Heathen, Rez, do you have any questions you'd like to ask?
When's the anticipated release or full release of the game?
Okay, we don't have a release to share right now. It's, as I said, it's very difficult to make solid plans in our current situation. We can confirm that we are working constantly on this and we won't stop. We are working on it. But we announced like 3 separate dates in the past when we had the studio. We had a plan. We didn't get the support to reach that plan. We had to delay, and that happened a couple of times. So this time we are being very cautious about this. We want to share a date when we really have things are pretty solid, and we don't have to delay yet again. So please, some patience.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Cool. You have anything, Rez, or are you good? He's good. Okay. So I have a couple more questions for you, Ita, and I appreciate you, like I said, taking time out of your night, because it's late night for you to take this interview. In the context of content creators and marketing, we have a lot of content creators that are going to be watching this showcase. Is there any way or plan that you have to have creators like market your game and stream your game and push it?
Well, right now it's not one of our priorities, because we are focusing on developing the game and creating more content. And we have always been a very, very small team. We are kind of overworked, especially me, which I'm doing lots and lots of things. So it's something that we have on the roadmap, of course. It's very important that when the game is closer to release, people have the most exposure to it that we can. So it's something that it's on the roadmap. But right now we are focusing on working by ourselves, promoting how we can in our extreme safe mode. But yeah, it's there. It's on the roadmap, and we are looking into it, of course.
Okay. Now I have one last question for you, and this one is for other indie developers, other game developers who are going to be watching the showcase when it goes live. What's the best piece of advice that you'd want to give to an aspiring indie game developer?
Okay, so this is all my experience, so you have to take it with a grain of salt. But in our case, I think there was a clash of expectations about the game when talking to publishers. So it's very important to know why are you doing this thing, but why are you making games? If you want to make a living and you are ready to make some concessions, which actually we were, but you have to be very aware that once you enter the industry, the studio, and all that, it's a lot of work, and it's you will be more and more detached from the actual creation, on more focused on the promotion and daily needs of the studio, of the people, and all that. At first, maybe you can handle everything at once, but it's very tiring. So you'll be spending a lot of time, and it's gonna tire this club. Sort of, if it's kind of redundant, but yeah, it's very exhausting, and sometimes the payoff may not be what you are expecting of it all. Maybe it happens that you have to close your studio, or you didn't get to release your game, or you have to make some changes to the game that leave you still unsatisfied. So these are all things that you have to keep in mind before making the jump, because it may not work well. Something that you have to know beforehand, because there are tons of indies that are successful, but there are tons and tons and tons more that can take off, and studios and projects that look cool that never materialize. So be careful with that. Just that.
Okay, cool. Good piece of advice for aspiring indie game developers. I also like how you mentioned in that too, how once you start working with more studios and publishers, you spend less time focusing on actually developing and creating the game, and more time on, professional settings and the business settings. So it just takes time away from the actual game focus. Do you want to elaborate on anything like that for any aspiring indie game developers?
Yeah. So both are equally important, right? You need support, you need financial support, you need a team to work on the game, you need him to actually create the game, you need to promote it, you need a lot of things. You have to go to events, and all this. It's adding up. You are doing things for the game all the time. You end your usual work day, and then you have to go and start promoting, and then on the weekends you have to travel outside. So it's all a chain, and at points you really start hating what you are doing. Say, okay, I wanted to make games because I like playing games. I'm not playing games anymore. I'm not even making my own games anymore because I have to go to Germany to promote it for 5 days, and then I come back exhausted, and then I have to look at all these numbers because I have debts with whoever. So it's something that you have to handle everything at once, and it may become a little overwhelming. Mm-hmm. But it's also worth it. So it's something that then you look back and it's kind of those hard times that you remember fondly, but still when you are there, it's hard. So it's something that really, really, really think about it, because there's many ways to make games. It's not just having to make your studio, or it's not just I have to make a living doing this. Maybe your ways the other way, or not, or maybe your ways I want to make this and make it big. And as long as you know exactly what you want to do, you'll be good.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Ite. Is there anything you want to plug for your game or promote for your game before we hop off? Social medias, your Steam wish list, anything you want to promote?
Yeah, of course. So we have the time I have left has a demo on Steam right now, which is quite lengthy. It's about between 1 and 2 hours long, and it covers not from the very beginning, but most of the very first chapter of the game, ending with a boss fight. So if it looks interesting to you in terms of visuals or in terms of gameplay, take a look, try it, and let us know, because we are always listening to the feedback. We want this game to be the best that we can. So if you have a couple of hours, a couple of the dead hours, and you get to try the demo, please share with us your experience. We'll take it into consideration.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. And like I said, I know it's late on your end, so I appreciate you hopping on. Raz, Heathen, do you have anything you'd like to add before we hop off? No? Okay, cool. Thank you so much for joining us.
Where's my daughter? Where is she? Stop until I find her. Emily? What? The hell?
Thank you. Yeah, trailers are. It's like on paper, or like just saying it, it's like it seems like, oh yeah, you just get clips, put it together, and then he's like the blank screen of it all, like
Yeah.
on like a narrative or something. It harder than it looks.
Yeah, it's very hard because you got to find a way to tell, like, with the trailer, you have to be able to tell, sort of the backstory behind the game a little bit. They need to know a little bit of story, but you also want to show cool features and also don't want to spoil too much, and there's a lot to consider.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then have like a kind of up and a big money shot type thing.
Yeah.
It's like a music video.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to put into these trailers, but I'm gonna get started. What's going on, guys? Welcome in. My name's Dominic, and I'm joined today with Eric from Matt Black Studios, and we're gonna be talking about his game Lucid, and I'm excited to talk to him. We just finished watching the trailer, and the first thing I want to say, just when watching the trailer, besides how cinematic it was really good and captivating. I really thought that, like, watching the character dash and strike and jump, it looked very smooth. And you know, some platformers or some of these pixel games, like, it's kind of hard to get the movement right, but it looked very smooth and clean.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, so I mean, is that, you know, part of your gameplay mechanics? Like, did you really focus and tune in on that? Was that a goal of yours?
Big time. Yeah. Tight, responsive controls are like paramount, like big priority. Big influences are from like Mega Man X and Mega Man Zero, that era of gaming. And I don't know, I've always said, like, in a genre or a game where movement is like 90% of what you're going to be doing, better feel good. Otherwise, you're leaving a bunch of money on the table. So movement should be just as fun and engaging and like synapse firing as like just like combat.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And a game that is 2D too, I feel like every movement has to be even crisper because, you know, there's not a lot of detail, I guess, in a 2D game compared to like a 3D game. So you want to really find a way to immerse yourself in the content and to be able to move around and feel clean and crisp while doing it.
Agreed. Yeah, I've likened it to I play guitar, and it always use the analogy of like controller wants to feel like an instrument, and like when you're in the flow state in the zone, it just is like an extension of you, and there's no like instruction between your brain what you want to do.
Yeah.
Of course, there's like the learning curve, but like what other instrument? Like at first you barely play a D chord, and you're doing like, I don't know, Stairway to Heaven, easy peasy.
Yeah.
But yeah. So look like my games feel.
Okay, so I want to ask you a question about Lucid, and really, what was your inspiration to create the game?
Oh man. Well, it started off as kind of just like a bed, like after work, kind of in my apartment, like dabbling at night, looking around really. And then it just kind of I like fell in love with the craft. I would just fell in love all the time. I would do that. I would lunch breaks, on the train ride to work, subway to work, the stairwell at work. At lunch, I'd go to like whatever Barnes and Noble or bookstore or even McDonald's just to like learn how to animate, pixel art, everything. I was just like all consumed. It was so bad that I had to like put it down for a little bit because it was like obstructing my architecture career.
Yeah.
I was just like totally not into it. But then 2020 kind of hit, you know, and the architecture was just like oil and water with me, mostly like clientele. But it's very, 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 very sad. And my fiance was like, "You should just pick up Lucid again. Like, it was beautiful and happy. Like, you should just start." All right, yeah. Like, let's do it. And it kind of started picking up steam on Instagram, and I rebuilt it in a whole new engine. And I don't know, just 5 years later, we're here. Yeah, I've just been a gamer my whole life, so I just wanted to like make a game because I learned that one person could do it. I saw some Iconoclast. I saw that one person made Iconoclast. Like, one person can make a video game? What? Well, that was kind of the catalyst.
That's very cool. So you are a solo dev team? It's just you?
I'm like the primary driving force. David Wise is helping with the music. My fiance is helping with music. Every now and then I've got some like heavy hitter, like Google employee kind of coder that would help me with some like intense architecture that's just of my pay grade. But they're all very like Strike Force oriented, you know? So what is a solo dev? I don't know. I've had help, but I'm like, more often than not, I'm alone. Okay, so.
Okay. Yeah, I get that entirely. You know, you need to call in sometimes helping hands, people who can help you, and sometimes, like you said too, with the architecture being above your pay grade, having to really hire in someone or a specialist to help you out. So I get that entirely. When you were speaking about your game and how you would be like drawing and designing stuff too, like in your free time, the pixel art, is everything made by you in the game, like the digital assets, or how does that work?
Again, like indeed 9, 10. I love pixel art. I love it as an art form. It's like I think not only is it like time efficient for a solo dev, but I think deeper than that, pixel art has like these internal sets of rules. It, in and of itself, is sort of like a game and puzzle, trying to like convey the idea in this medium. I think that speaks to gamers and game devs really naturally. So yeah, I adore it. So I'm really happy that people seem to be responding well to it.
That's awesome. I kind of still want to ask you some questions about your development journey, because you said, you kind of started at one point and then stopped and then got back into it. What was the biggest challenge you faced so far while developing Lucid?
Ooh, biggest challenge. Outside of marketing and trying to rate the Twitter algorithm, like that's boring stuff. Outside of that, I guess inside of like actual game making, I think overcoming the feeling of A, imposter syndrome, and B, the every big bug is like, this is the big one. This is the one I'm not gonna be able to fix. This is the one that's gonna sink the project. Never gonna be able to figure this out. I'm a hack fraud. And then, a day goes by of like digging into it. Sometimes you just don't see that, and fighting through and like just looking through it. I've had sometimes the hardest part.
Yeah, I get that entirely. I think I haven't done game development, but I've done software development and that aspect. And, when you're trying to troubleshoot a bug or trying to fix something and it's broken and you're up multiple nights trying to fix it, you're like, am I done? And like, do I need to bring in someone else? Can they even fix it? Is the game done? Do I just chalk it here and give up? I entirely get that, especially if you're doing it all by yourself, trying to figure it out. It can definitely be stressful.
Big time. And that's where like my Strike Force guy, I'll be like, hey man, I'm sorry to bother you, but I need help. I don't know what to do. I'll be like, sometimes just talking to someone, like Rubber Ducky, just like I'll be like explaining to him like the issues, and then like a little light bulb will go. I'm like, oh wait, actually, give me 5 minutes, and I'll be like,
yeah, I get that. You're trying to explain the issue, and then you're making like mental like mind map connections where you're like, oh, it's starting to make a little bit more sense just talking to you about it. I think I get it.
Yeah, because you're like this close to it, and then when you're here, like,
okay, just had to zoom out a little bit, and you're there. Very interesting. So, what game engine or tools did you use to create Lucid?
I started in Game Maker, and eventually Game Maker 2, natural release. Then the hiatus came. Then a big part of like coming back was like I always wanted to learn Unity. Like what better time? I'm gonna like rebuild it completely from scratch in Unity. Like I have pixel assets, whatever. So yeah, currently it's in the Unity.
Okay. And while you've been making the game in the Unity engine, what would you say was one feature that you're proud of that you think players might not notice?
Not notice. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Usually the driving force for why I wanted to learn Unity, outside of like I wanted to just more well-rounded coder, was like at the time, GameMaker and its shaders and such were not. I wasn't capable of implementing the shaders via GameMaker to what I wanted, and Unity seemed a little more coachable in that regard. So it's really like using normal maps and emission layers to get that like faux light on your pixel art. That's really what was a driving force. But everyone can see that. But can't they see for Unity? I don't know. The controller mapping system for being able to like just plug in. Something that not many people know is that like getting a lot of controllers to just work in your game is not like out the box. It's like really difficult because they're just so neat, and like trying to get all the drivers to like respond to the proper buttons and inputs is not no simple, easy peasy. I guess that one.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that. So you're telling me you have to, install new drivers and stuff for, let's say, an Xbox controller, a Steam controller, or a PlayStation controller. Okay. Yeah, that sounds like it could be a pain.
Further from that, it's like PS4, PS5. It's not just PlayStation. It's like every iteration ever. Don't even get me started on like out of the box like ergonomic kind of stuff. It gets nuts. But luckily, there's some Unity assets and things that kind of bridges make it all work. Learning that system in and by itself was kind of like a whole mission, but after that whole remote, I don't know that again above my pay grade, but yeah, that was big.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it was a tough question I asked you. I like asking that question to developers though, because sometimes you get some really interesting responses. Like some people go off about like assets they designed that's in the game that no one's going to care about, like a shelf or a lamp, and they're like, I worked on this lamp for 12 hours. Like, I have so many iterations of this one lamp, and I'm just letting them speak and let them go off about the one thing. Yeah.
I mean, in that regard, like everything, almost so many pixel art, like little moments of pixel art. Like, it's not so much that it doesn't bother me that no one will ever notice. Like me, it's just like it all bleeds into the subconscious, but like I will notice. I'm playing it and I know that it's just wrong. My eyes will go to it and it'll bother me, and I won't be able to enjoy the game. So like I have to fix it, and it has to.
Yeah.
That is good.
Okay. So is Lucid available to play now as like a demo? Do you have any demos out, or is it not available yet? It is?
There's a public demo on Steam.
Okay.
You can play it right now.
Awesome. How has player feedback been from the demo so far?
Oh, good. So good. Let's say like 9 out of 10 times, it's just like overwhelmingly, this feels so good to play. Like, that's a big one. Like you said, when you just looking at it, when you get it in your hands, almost every streamer I ever watched play it, they'll like jump and move around for like 2 seconds, and I'll hear like, oh, this feels good. It's amazing how a gamer can just pick it up and be like, oh, it's a big one.
Yeah.
But player feedback is also has been helpful. Like streamlined the tutorials section, just like move some excess dialogue just to like up with potential spans.
Yeah,
man, it's been really, really positive.
Very interesting. I love too how you mentioned with the mechanics, like, oh, this feels good. I could tell right away from the trailer. I was like, I could tell that this game would be fun to play with, like the mechanics going up and down and jumping and striking. I could tell immediately. It looked smooth like butter, just in the air. Yeah. So I want to kind of still focus on the design aspect of the game, and obviously it's pixel art, and like you said too, you know, there's little bugs and things that you notice when you play the game that you just have to fix. What was it like in terms of like sound design? How was that process like for your game?
Also very fun. I had mentioned I have a background in music. I was in garage bands ever since high school through college, recording, a little bit of DJing, producing stuff. So sound design was like in my wheelhouse. So I had lots of fun finding this kind of hybrid of retro kind of video gamey sounds that are layered or meet like actual sound, like Foley sounds. So blending those two have been really fun. Speaking of help, I do have like a sound guy who helps me makes those sounds. Like I can find samples and layer them and do stuff, but there'll be some instances that are just like big sequences that I got other stuff I got to be doing. So but he's fantastic. Vitor, shout out to Vitor. He's fantastic audio design. But and yeah, I love it. Another aspect that
Yeah, I think it's an underrated aspect when it comes to drawing viewers into your game too, in terms of like immersing them into your world, into the experience. It's a part that a lot of people like miss out on.
Hey, you gotta have that the juicy, like it's gotta feel chunky and juicy and thick and
Yeah.
real nice.
And I've been speaking with a few other developers, and a lot of them do like horror games and those types of games. And sound design is even more vital in these games because you want to find a way to draw them in, calm them down, scare them. There's a lot of ways to use noise to your advantage in those games, especially. So I like asking sound design. Yeah. You mentioned how you kind of did start and stop and restarted in the Unreal Engine for Lucid. But if you could go back to day one for Lucid, the game, way back to day one, what's one thing you would do differently?
Is this hypothetical like I know what I know now?
Yes.
Or skills wise, all of it? Mate. Well, knowing what I know now would be exponentially fast. Would know exactly the scope I would need. Scope creep. Jesus Christ. What would I tell myself now, man? I don't know. Keep the course. Stay the course. Don't let trends or opinions that try to take away from the core concept of the game, like stay true to the game you want to make. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm very happy with where it is and what it's become. I don't know if I change much. I guess it would just be more efficient and have and sooner and more of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like I mentioned scope creep too, because now that you know everything about the game and the actual scope of the game, obviously after working on it for so long, compared to when you first start and you're like, oh, I just need this, and I'll be done, easy peasy. You get your hands in and you're like, oh man, I didn't even know.
Yep. And on top of that, because you mentioned you did code, it's funny how like I don't know if there's ever happened to you, done some work, something happens, you lost the work, but now that you've just done it, just doing it once, it makes the second time like multiples of 10 times faster. So like taking that into account and just like across the entire project, who knows how, where if I could be where I am now in like, I don't know, a year, 2 years, it would leave so much more room for more stuff. But I guess this Lucid too.
Yeah, well, I was gonna actually ask you that next. Obviously, every demo, it's not a finished game yet. When it is finished, do you have any ideas for what's next for Matt Black Studios?
Yeah, I do. It's very dependent of how things go. In a perfect world, I'd love to take a little break. I've been working at this for like maybe just a little vacation. But then right after that, there's a few projects, ideas, game design docs that I would love to kind of make, or maybe like a proper team, like an actual studio, so either Math Studio. I don't want to show my hand just yet, but always been very, very interested in taking a crack at either like the Star Fox formula or some sort of Monster Hunter Pokemon type.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't know. Got some ideas percolate.
Got some ideas up your sleeve. Let's see what happens next. Okay. So when do you expect Lucid to fully launch?
Right now it's slated for late spring of 2026. There are some pots on the oven, pots on the stove. There it is. Things that are happening behind the scenes that'll really solidify what the release date is and what that will entail. But until that's become official, I can't say anything. But hopefully, it is very exciting. I'm excited for it to pull through. And
Awesome. I'm excited to try out the game. I'm gonna have to play the demo now and
oh yes, please.
play that movement. I might restream it. We'll see.
Oh yes, dude. Yeah, let me know. I'll lurk. I'll hang out. Do whatever you need.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so I like to end our interviews with the same question that I asked all the developers. And this is for all the developers watching in the showcase, people who are making their own games. What piece of advice would you give to an aspiring indie developer watching this?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's pretty simple, and it's not exactly game design related, but honestly, like just be kind to people you talk to, people you work with. I don't know, like grateful, appreciative, kind, and like really be that. You have no idea how many opportunities and just moments that been nothing but like seemingly were just like inconsequential because I was kind and because there was like a genuine like communion that would like loop back around and be like, hey, remember that time we talked? Here's this opportunity. I'd be like, whoa, dude, thanks. That's all from my guess. Without all those people like coming in and helping and being kind themselves, like there's no way I would have been here. So I think that's the best idea, piece of advice. Like just be kind, don't be a dick. On burn bridges and stuff. So
Yeah.
never know who you're gonna talk to.
I like that because every person you meet, if you're kind and they say don't burn bridges, eventually you think, oh, I just had this conversation with this person, and then they give you an opportunity, or they know someone who has an opportunity, and then they connect you, and it just opens a lot of doorways for you that didn't seem possible if you weren't kind to people and being genuine with people. If you just make these connections, good things will happen.
Yeah, it feels like you're being. I want it to sound like be kind to like get stuff. Like just be kind because you should be kind, but like this is like a multiplier.
Yeah, being kind is a little selfish. It's a little selfish. It could take yeah, just a little bit. Is that a Lucid poster I see behind you up top?
It is. Yeah, that was from the mix in best the people though made those little things. A buddy I went with, he took his and had it like under his arm, like, you're taking that on the plane. He's like, yeah, I'm taking it on the plane. Like, take it on the plane. Good thing he had a good idea. Kept theirs.
Very cool. Yeah, I've noticed that in the background where you're giving advice, and I was like, oh wow, I just noticed that. That's really cool.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, awesome. So was that from an event?
Yeah, the really cool event.
Hello
it's
there.
Like a satellite operation off of X West, where like, I don't know. It seemed like it was like a joke that we were like the entertainment for the party. It was basically like a big party where all the best people, game people, whoever wanted to show up were there, drinks, food, and then there were all these kind of booths around indie game demos, and they'd go around, play it, talk, your cards. But it was a really good time. Met a lot of cool people. Yeah,
That's cool. Yeah.
a nice meeting with lots of friends, and yeah, highly recommend it. They're still active now, so
Yeah, that's very cool. I've been to a few Dream Hacks where they have all the indie game studios, and getting to meet all of them and speaking with them and playing their games is fun.
yeah. They're very similar.
Yeah, it's cool. I love meeting indie game developers, especially because there's a lot of obviously passion behind these games because they're the ones building it themselves, and it's more of like a passion project for them. But then even the stories on why they're building these games, or what their inspiration was, or the story behind it. Like there's always so many good stories of people to meet at these events. Can they meet the indie game developers?
Yeah. It's like inspirational. You go there and you leave like on a high. It's really cool.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of going to those events for that reason. You put it perfectly. I'm on the airplane home, like on like a high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then you're getting up in the air, and then you're home, and the jet lag hits, and doesn't feel the same. But
Yeah. I was reminded of like when I would go to like music festivals, you'd come home and like re-enter the real world, and you're like, oh,
yep, it's like I gotta answer these emails. I gotta.
yeah.
Oh man. But it was nice talking to you, Eric. And I'm happy that we got to speak about Lucid, and hopefully this is the first of a few conversations. I would love to have you back for an interview when Lucid fully drops.
Man, thanks for having me. I'd love to. Listen.
Yeah, so like I said, it was great. I can't wait to play the game, and I can't wait to have High Tide creators. We have a team of creators. Have them play the game and stream it. And it is single player, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So I'll have them all stream it, and let us know what you think.
Awesome, dude. Again.
Awesome.
What's going on, guys? Your boy Showtime Satch, and we are here with MMA Empire. Now, clearly, I don't have a degree in video game marketing, so this is going to be as good as we get for a trailer, but welcome. I'm glad you guys have joined us. MMA Empire is an MMA management-style game where you can sign fighters, schedule fights, expand territory, and become the greatest MMA company in the world. There's a lot of interesting features in this game. I hope I can run them over with you. If you guys are interested, you can download this game. It's going to be free to play on Steam. On the screen here, we're overgoing the navigation and the tutorial menu. But the important things to know in this game, fighters are all different. They have different stats, they have different styles, and this affects their personal success, how each fight turns out. And matching up these styles is very important. So there's a strategy involved there. You can upgrade your gym facilities to improve your fan turnout, your monetary success. Eventually, you can expand into different regions, compete against other rival companies, and even buy out these companies, take over their roster, take over their fans, and eventually become the one to rule them all. But overall, I think this is a great opportunity for people who've always wanted this kind of experience, but the AAA market hasn't given it to them. You have to turn to the indies, and here we are. So if you guys, sounds interesting to you, please try it out. This is a one-man army. MMA Empire. Build your empire and start your legacy today.
You never should have come back.
I got a message from Mira.
She's been gone a long time. Ran when things got hard. Left the band behind.
I need to know why. Why she vanished when everything was coming together. Isn't that why you're here too?
Did you forget what happened on that night? This place remembers.
And so do I. I'll be waiting. So come and find me. Mira.
What's going on, High Tide family? Welcome back. Today we're joined with the developers of Liminal Points. I'm also joined by High Tide creator Those. we're excited for this. Those specifically too has been wanting to ask you guys about your game and ask you guys questions for a little bit now. And the first thing I want to ask you is really kind of explain to us a little bit more of the story behind the main character. We see the main character, and it looks like she's trying to find her friend Mira, and she's going through this obviously scary looking setting. But can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so Lyra was an ascending rock star alongside Mira. Mira was actually the lead singer and the other two members of the band. They were in Ashen Point doing a contract with a big famous music producer, and they were living in his mansion. And everything was set up, and they were getting ready to get their first big debut concert in Ashen Point. It's an island. But on the night of the concert, Mira suddenly just vanished without sending a message, or she just vanished. And that led to the band falling apart. So now a few years later, they all got a voice message from Mira telling them to come back to Ashen Point. And that's pretty much where the story goes. So Lyra and the others want to figure out what happened. Why did Mira disappear? And what's up the deal with that? Because that pretty much destroyed all their lives and all the promises they had between them.
Very cool. And what was your inspiration to create Liminal Point?
Oh, that's a tough one. Not entirely. So the idea came back, and we were thinking about making a survival horror game. So we were like, I don't know, throwing some ideas around, and we had a bunch of ideas, and this one kind of kept coming back. You know, this rock inspired survival horror. It just kept coming back. I need to be careful here because I don't want to spoil the actual what happens in the game. But this idea for this specific title just kept coming back because we thought that the whole premise of it and what actually happens in it was so interesting. So we kind of decided, and then we just we were working a bunch of prototypes, and we kind of started showing some of them on X. And this one kind of took off. This one like really took off. So we were like, okay, this is the one we're going to focus for the moment.
Yeah.
But you did it based on like community feedback when you posted it?
It's not so much about community feedback about what to do in the game. It's just that when we showed it, it just exploded compared to the other one we were showing at the moment. So this is like, okay, people seem to like this one. So let's make it a little bit another scene on this one and see what people, and then it exploded like twice as much as the previous post, and we were like, oh, okay, this seems to be people really want seem to want this. So
because you want to make a game that people actually want to play, they want to be excited about the game and wanted to play it. So we were testing different different ways to show the game in different angles. And then we found one that resonated with people, and we're like, okay, so we need to focus on this one.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I saw like some inspirations of like Lara Croft, and like when I saw the Rock Band, it reminded me of Devil May Cry, which is another fantastic game that I personally love.
Oh, that was sort from our fans, because we actually I don't think we ever like really spoke about what the game was inspired by.
Yeah. It's a really cool concept. I've seen a few concepts recently where it combines like music and horror, and it's a really cool combination. And I really think the art style too, in combination with the overall concept and story that you have for Liminal Point, is a really good concept. Like now I want to play as Lyra and try to figure out like, where did Mira go? Why did she disappear?
So this is a psychological horror, very in lines with like other classics like Silent Hill. So expect some really twisted, bad, nasty stuff in the story. So upset a lot of people probably.
It may, yeah.
That's cool. I can't.
No, don't say that.
I can't wait.
It's gonna upset you in a good way. Like if you like this psychological horror games or even psychological movies, I think you're gonna be delighted with the stuff.
Okay. So when I'm looking at the game too, and I'm seeing your art style, and I see a little bit of gameplay mechanics in there as well in the trailer. What's something that you would say is unique or that you're excited about when it comes to your game's mechanics or your art style?
Well, from the art style, definitely the fact that it's top-down isometric. It's very rarely used on horror games. I think Deadwood used it, and Darkwood used it, and Signalis, and well, I guess there's Conscript, and Crow's Country a little bit.
Yeah, Crow's.
So I don't know. We kind of like, because we're kids from the '90s. We kind of like this RTS top-down view as well. So I think it's pretty exciting to make and Diablo as well. So it's kind of exciting to make. A lot of people also mentioned Parasite Eve. We actually never played.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's something that really kind of resonates with us, and we thought it was a good challenge to make also, because horror games from this perspective tend not to be as scary. I think Darkwood did a good job on that, but they tend to not be as scary. But it's a challenge we kind of want to take on to see if we can make it like really scary, even though it's from a bit more distant camera. But that's definitely the main artistic point that is very, very different from other games. And also, we also trying something a little bit different, which none of these games really try, which is the dollhouse kind of effect.
Yeah.
You're kind of seeing like a slice of the environment, kind of like almost like you're watching like a dollhouse or something.
Oh yeah.
So that's definitely one of the things. What was the second part of the question?
Oh, no, you basically answered it. Just talking about your game's mechanics and art style, and you mentioned like the top down view, and then the actual like dollhouse art style.
Yeah.
Okay, very interesting. And I kind of want to ask you a question that's not about Liminal Point, but more about you two and Hideworks. How did Hideworks get started? How did you guys, end up working together to create this game?
Well, we're married, so I guess we had to work together.
I don't really have a choice.
Yeah, I'm like, let's do games, and she was like, yeah, let's do games. That's pretty much how it went.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it started like, I don't know, like I don't want to get too much into it, but I used to work on the AAA's industry, but like many other people, I got laid off at some point, and I was like, I think it's time for us to try this this stuff, because there's so many bad decisions in AAA, and I got the experience, so we can do this.
Indie games are definitely popping now. They're definitely up and coming and beating AAA titles, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's gonna get worse in a way, like, because AAA is funneling so much, and now you got like these really seasoned AAA developers that are like, enough is enough, let's just do our own thing. And yeah.
People like me, like I'm a big time gamer. I love to play video games myself, like all different genres and different platforms. So absolutely love games, and making the game is like almost a dream come true for a person who loves playing games themselves. So
right.
Yeah, that's awesome. We've interviewed a lot of different developers, some studios, some independent, and we haven't had anyone that's been a couple. That's great. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's actually very cool.
Yeah, it's a cool story.
I have to ask though, who's the coder and who's the artist?
Well, I usually do, well, kind of tricky question, because we kind of do a lot of the things, right? So
we have to fit many hats and be like a one man band, but 2-man band. Yeah, we have to do everything, just the two of us, and aside for some other extra people we sometimes hire, but it's just two of us pretty much. But mostly handle like environments, making environments, the levels, things like that, and trying to do most of the paperwork and all the other stuff like applications and all of that, which is a lot of work apparently.
Yeah.
Making a lot of applications, a lot of paperwork, a lot of documents. It's
and I do everything else.
And he does everything else.
The characters, concepts, the story, the programming.
Yeah, and then we brainstorm on the story and some aspects of the game that kind of difficult, needs to have some thought. We brainstorm during dinner. when we don't work, we still kind of work. We discuss the game and everything that needs to be done, and
you're always very up to the times. Like we always thinking about what's happening right now and what's happening right now in the industry as well. And we're kind of trying to stay flexible and adapt to that.
Interesting. I want to kind of continue talking about the game development side and kind of walk me through your development journey with this game. What was, in your opinion, the biggest challenge you faced while developing the game?
I would say the kids, because it's a bit of a time sink, I guess. It's challenging to keep all the life stuff and working on the game because there's a lot of distractions. But other than that, like on a technical side, what's difficult? Well, I could be very specific. Like save game systems are really complicated because of the nature of our game, right? It's a survival horror. You have an inventory system, which by itself is very complicated.
Yeah.
Then you have enemies that you need to. It's not just like other games that they just come and go, and it just spawn them, and that's all that. No, we need to keep track of all the health that they still have, all the if they were dead, where they died, how much blood there is. So there's a lot of data that we need to kind of store, and also the inventory system and all the other upgrades that Lyra might have. So there's definitely very difficult on the save system side. Is a very complex system, and that it's definitely one of those things that causes some issues. I don't know if you want to say anything. What's your technical difficulties on the kind of the level environment kind of side?
Yeah, there is some because we have a specific angle, so not everything looks good from that angle. So I'm trying to make it look in a way that it's makes sense, in a way that it looks good, and sometimes the layout sometimes are strange and it's hard to kind of manage that. But overall, I'm really enjoying making the game. Oh,
awesome. I have a question more for horror, on the horror side of things. So you mentioned earlier how your game's more top-down view, and that's really unique and not seen as much for horror games. So how did you guys decide to build tension and atmosphere in this game, like for the horror?
Yeah, so we're experimenting a bunch of things. The camera, it does zoom in and does zoom out depending on the context of the game. So we can keep things very close to Lyra, and you cannot see so much, up ahead, which causes that classic tension from old Resident Evil games that you sometimes cannot see.
I was literally about to say that.
Yeah, so I was studying a lot of that by playing, like Resident Evil Remaster HD, and I've noticed a few things that they do that are very interesting on that sense. And I'm trying to mimic that from our camera perspective, but we also have a few kind of very interesting and unique things that we can do because of our camera angle, which is, for example, you're walking in a corridor, and it's an L-shaped corridor, and you cannot see what's ahead of you, but you see like shadows creeping in, but from the place that you can actually see, but you cannot see what's actually causing those shadows, for example, or you don't see it anything. And you have to wait until Lyra actually gets to that point, and that corridor reveals as soon as she actually is able to look into that location. So we can create a lot of tension on that. We're also using a lot of light and shadows to kind of create that tension as well, because you're walking around and you have a flashlight, but you cannot really see what lurks in the dark as well. Not that the whole game is very dark. No, this game has a good balance of, dark places and light spaces, because I don't want the whole game to be pitch black. But you have a lot of interesting, scary moments as well with that, because you're walking, and sometimes you're kind of blind because you can only see how far the flashlight goes. There's some of our gameplay videos
lurking around the summer.
There's one of the gameplay videos that we released some time ago. That's a longer video, 5-minute gameplay. That's kind of apparent. Like she's just walking around in the hospital, and suddenly she's just jumped by this creature, and you have to kind of react fast to it. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of moments to create tension. We're still figuring out more things we can do to create sort of a jump scare, but not really like jump scares that they jump on your face, but more like sudden moments that an enemy just pops out and it's or ambushes you. So so you're always going to be on edge.
Yeah, very cool. And in terms of, horror tension, right? You mentioned that you have, with the top-down view, you can kind of show a lot of shadows and kind of generate this tension before you even turn to see a corridor or a hallway. I really like that. Have you done anything with sound? How has the sound design been for your game?
Yeah, absolutely. But same vein, right? Like we have very creepy music that's becoming tense, and like when some enemy sees you, the music shifts. Yeah, so it's very similar to Resident Evil and Silent Hill in that way. But yeah, other than sound, you're doing a lot of disturbing sounds, random sounds, like in the distance, things that will kind of creep you out.
Okay. Do you have anything, those?
How long has the development process been?
So we showed it for the first time in what was it? So it was in the end of 2024, I think.
Beginning 25.
Yeah, so that's pretty much when the development started.
About a year, maybe a little more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when we start posting, it's pretty much when development started.
Okay. Is this your first indie game? I know you mentioned you worked for a AAA before.
No. We released another game called The Devil's in the Details, and that was our first experience.
Okay. What did that experience teach you, and how do you apply that to this game?
Oh, that taught us a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It taught us a lot. Like, I wouldn't say so much in the aspect of making maybe as well making a game. Yeah.
But also like the marketing part.
Yeah.
And this is actually what taught us the most is the game is exceptionally unique, and it's an amazing game, and people play it, they love it. We have like 5-star reviews everywhere, but what it taught us that it's a bit too unique and too niche. So, and from that we thought then when we make a next game, we need to find something that resonates more with the people, that
broad appeal.
More broad appeal, yeah, less niche, more what people know. And that's why we actually, with the second game, we were posting to see how people react, and started like experimenting to find like what people want the most from the game, the look, the style, the vibe. So that taught us a lot, that it's a great game, but it's too unique and too niche, and sometimes it plays against the game.
Yeah, a lot of people say they want original games and very unique games, and
but then
the numbers show that people still like that familiarity and sometimes nostalgia. So that's definitely something we learned.
Yeah.
Interesting. I find that very interesting. You mentioned also marketing with your first game. You kind of learned a little bit there, and to apply that for Liminal Point. I want to touch on that a bit, because when it comes to indie game development, I feel like that's something that is overlooked by some indie game developers. They think that they can just release a game, and then voila, they're done. But like the marketing aspect is debatably even harder once the game's released, to try to get people to play your game. And you've done a really good job for Liminal Point on social media. So do you want to touch on marketing a little bit?
Yeah, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of stigma about it too. Like it's definitely, I hate to say this, but it's almost more important than the game itself, because with the case of The Devil, we made a great game, and it is a great game by any metric possible, but nobody plays it. Therefore, it's not a success, right? So it's extremely important to let people know that the game exists. And then, of course, it's important to make a really good game. But if you don't make the second one, no matter how good of a game it is, it will never be found. So that's one of the issues right there. And there was there was something else I wanted to touch up on that.
But that's why the game needs to relate, and it should be more known. Like the Liminal Point, we can say, this is for the fans who love Resident Evil. This is for the fans that love Silent Hill. So people who love those games are like, oh yeah, I'm probably gonna like this game. But with The Devil, for example, it's hard to, there is no other game like it. So it's hard to say, oh, it's for the fans of this game, because there's really not other game like this one, So it's hard to find that crowd, and hard to find the fans of those type of games, because we don't even know like where to pinpoint game. Yeah, and this is one of the things that we learned, how that the game needs to be relatable for many people, call for nostalgia, and you need to be able to say this game will remind you of this game, or if you love this game, you will like our game. So this is very important.
And there's also the thing that, like I was mentioning, the stigma. You know, we were doing pretty good marketing campaign for this game. Definitely getting a lot of eyes. Definitely getting quite famous. But there's still some comments I've seen that you should not post about your game if you're not releasing in 2 weeks, which is completely wrong. Or you should not advertise a game 2 years before release, which, by the way, it's only been a year since we announced it. So you see, this kind of comments is very, but this are from, you know, not the other indie developers, either from people don't understand marketing. Well, I cannot blame them. I did not really understand it myself before we start trying it. But there's definitely this kind of wrong assumption that the game just comes out, or you know, we should just announce it and like 2 weeks later it comes out. No, it needs to be like, we need to let people know, especially because we don't have millions of dollars to put for advertisement. We need to let people know little by little, you know, that the game is this is the game we're making, and you should keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a long, hard process that takes a long.
It's definitely working. That's for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's one of those things with marketing where you have to start early, especially for an indie game developer, because even though the game's not polished yet, whatever, you need to start marketing ASAP, because people aren't going to buy your game normally after the first time they see it on social media. They're going to need to see it twice, 3 times, 4 times. Like, I've seen Liminal Point 3 or 4 times on X and on Twitter. So that's how I was able to like sink it in my minds. And then I kind of forgot. And those came to me and he said, hey, you need to check out this game, Liminal Point. And I was like, Liminal Point, it sounds familiar. And I saw the trailer and I was like, I know this game. I've seen the trailers for this game. So that's part of the marketing aspect, where you need to be in people's face and they need to be aware of you and see your trailer and your gameplay.
They beat people up with it so much, they're like, I'm tired. Okay, I'll buy it.
Yep.
Buy it. Okay, we're sick and tired of you guys.
Yeah, but also it's hard because there's so much competition out there. There's so many games released like now. Like, we just saw this graph the other day that 5 years ago there was
5 years ago there were 2016 there were 70 games released on Steam every year, and now it's like, I don't know, 30,000 or something. Yeah, so it went up a bit.
So it's hard. It's hard to stand out. Sometimes the game is also a good game, but it's hard to stand out. Because you drop in the ocean, and it's hard to make sure that your drop is like other people saw it.
There's another thing that's very positive, and we're definitely going to harness that power now that we know about it, which is by marketing the game earlier, or even a prototype, we actually get a sense if people like what they're seeing.
Yeah.
So like if what we show people are really not interested, we're like, okay, this game, it's probably going to be a good game, but from a financial perspective, probably doesn't make much sense to make it at this point. So we can, focus on something else. So that's also very, very useful.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question, building off of you mentioning, like financially, you got to see what the game's going to be like, how it's recepted by the audience, right? I see that Liminal Point is going to be on Steam, on PlayStation, on Xbox, and on the Epic Store as well. Are you guys doing that solo, or do you have a publisher?
And GOG.
Yeah, GOG. Mm-hmm. We're doing it ourselves.
Yeah, we're doing it ourselves. There's a lot of publishers. I think pretty much every publisher on the planet at this point has reached out to us. There's only one really that we're kind of entertaining, but we'll have to see how talks go. But for the moment, we're definitely 100% self-published.
Okay. And what, I guess, would you say is one of the reasons why you're choosing to go solo over publishers? Is there something you're looking for specifically from publishers, or something that turns you away from them?
Well, I think in terms of, I don't know about like loss of freedom or anything, because honestly, I didn't really work with publishers directly before. They seem all pretty chill, so I'm not sure about that. But I mean, if we go with the publisher, we'll have to split the revenue with them. And the question is, are they going to do more for the game that we are not doing already? You know, that it's worth losing a chunk of our income for that. Because don't forget, there's other things we'll need to pay, you know, like Steam revenue, PlayStation revenue, Xbox revenue. There's always, you know, 30% or more than 30% go out of the window right away. So that's a lot of money. Then plus, if you have a publisher, you know, that's another percentage you need to cut off. So at the end of the day, we're eating scraps for dinner. So
got it. So you're betting on yourself.
Yeah, it needs to be really worth it. Like, it needs to be really worth it. If we know that if we go with this publisher, we know it's going to increase the sales by 40 times or something. That's like, yeah, okay, that makes complete sense. But other publishers that we talk to, a lot of them, I just don't feel like they're doing better job with their other indies that they would do with us, that we're doing ourselves. So
makes sense. So it's more of like, what can publishers do to help market my game and bring in more sales where it'd be worth it to even have a...
Yeah, I mean, there's other services that they offer, you know, that it's interesting, but they probably can hire those services as well ourselves, like QA and stuff like that. But from a technical standpoint, you know, we've taken upon ourselves to do the console ports, and we already ported our other game for console, so we don't really need that assistance. So
because at the beginning we didn't know, and we thought that we need a publisher to port to consoles, but then we figured out how to do it ourselves. It was a lot of work, but we were able to figure it out, and we published our first game on PS5 and Xbox. So after we did that, we were like, well, you know, we kind of figured it out, even though it was very complicated. So maybe we don't even need to help with that.
Yeah, makes sense. So I have two last questions for you guys. I know we're about to wrap it up. We're at like 27 minutes in to this interview. Two things. Have you had any player feedback from demos and betas, and what's that been like?
Yeah, so we released released internally the vertical slice last year. So we got some close friends and family and people interested in playing, and even some of the publishers. And the feedback is pretty awesome, honestly. I think the only, I would not say negative, but something to keep in mind is that some people were kind of struggling for ammo, which is, you know, you kind of want that for a survival horror. So
yeah.
But again, the vertical slice did not have difficulty settings. We're going to have a lot of difficulty settings. You're going to have puzzle difficulty. You're going to have combat difficulty and other ones that we'll reveal at some point. But yeah, it's definitely going to be more forgiving if you choose one of the easier difficulties. But if you're a hardcore survival horror fan, you know, and your whole thing is like playing Resident Evil, the classic, with just a knife or like scarce ammo, you're gonna be right at home with this.
Very cool. And the last question. Obviously, this interview is going to be played at the High Tide Indie Game Showcase in a couple days. We're going to have a lot of not only gamers watching this, but also a lot of indie game developers themselves are going to be watching the showcase. What's one piece of advice that you'd want to give to an aspiring indie developer watching this?
Don't do survival horrors. Let that for. No, I'm just kidding. I love you guys. I don't know what kind of advice would we give to people. I don't know. Like, well, I guess maybe, you know, make sure that. Yeah, I think this is a good advice, because we also kind of fell into that trap a little bit as well. Don't work in a vacuum, and you don't work years in a game that you don't even know if people want. I guess that's my biggest advice. You know, and also there's also, of course, the don't bite more than you can chew. You know, don't try to make a huge game right off the bat. You know, like with The Devil, we started with a smaller game to try to learn everything, all the facets of what it takes to actually release a game from start to finish.
Because there's a lot of things that you will discover along the process. A lot of things that you never even think of. Even like things like paperwork and all of that.
Localization.
Yeah, it's so many things that you will learn with your first game, so it's best to go small before you go big.
And I know this is like cliche advice, but like the Devil pretty much was an experimentation with it, right? We wanted to make a smaller game and just see the whole process from start to finish, and we ended up with a very cool game. But that was the whole intent, was just a learning tool. And yeah, we learned a lot, and I guess that's the advice is, start small, learn everything, and then start thinking about what's going to be your bigger game.
So you can get a feedback, deal with people's reactions, because people will give you a lot of, feedback, a lot of ideas of what's wrong with your game.
Or no feedback. Or no feedback, which is even worse.
Yeah, no feedback is also not good.
Because that means nobody cares.
Yes. You need to gather some feedback and really pay attention to it, because if nobody likes it, probably needs some changes. If everybody likes it, do this, like double down on the things people like things like that.
Very good advice. We've asked a few game developers the same question, and a lot of them kind of have the same overarching theme where it's like, you just got to get started. Your first game's not going to be the best. You just got to get started. Don't overthink it. Get feedback. You're going to learn from it, and you're going to see what other players have like feedback for you, and you just build upon that in your next game and your next game, and to go from there.
So yeah.
Awesome. So thank you guys so much for joining us. It was a pleasure to have you guys on. I'm excited to see when Liminal Point launches and to play the game at release. Do you guys want to plug or promote anything on your end? Social medias, your wish list, anything you want to
Make sure to follow us on X, because that's the platform we're mostly active. Make sure to wishlist Liminal Points, very important, especially on Steam, because the more wishlists we have on Steam, the more visibility our game will have and more people will be reached. So it's definitely very important, and I hope everybody's excited about the game and when it comes out. And also keep an eye for the demo that we're diligently working on. I don't even sleep working on this. So make sure you wait patiently for the demo that we're working on.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Where's my daughter? Where is she? Stop until I find her. Emily? What? The hell?
Welcome back, everyone, to the High Tide Indie Game Showcase. Today, I'm joined by some High Tide creators, Heathen and Rez, and we're also joined by the main man behind the Faenora game, also called @FaenoraVerse on X, joined by Nathan. So welcome in.
Hey, thanks so much. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the whole crew showing up. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, we're excited to interview you and ask you some questions about Faenora the game, and get to know a little bit more about you and what your goals are for Faenora and for the overall Web3 community. So, I just want to start ask every developer this when we start these interviews. What was your inspiration to create Faenora?
So there was a game back when I was a kid called Ogre Battle. I don't know if it's a pretty niche game. It's a strategy RPG on Super Nintendo, and I could do it right there. I would go to the rental store and I would try to get that exact same cartridge every time so I could keep going with my save file. And that had is kind of like a mix between turn-based RPGs and real-time strategy like Warcraft, that type of thing. So fast forward a couple years later, they make a Nintendo 64 game called Ogre Battle 64, one of my favorite games as well. Final Fantasy Tactics is one of my favorite games of all time. So then I go into, I'm a corporate lawyer by background. I did corporate finance and mergers and acquisitions at a large law firm, found that there's this creative side of me that I can't suppress enough. I'm also an actor, and that the box didn't fit for me just doing the law firm thing. So I jumped out. I did some entrepreneurial type stuff in the blockchain space starting back in 2017. And in about 2022 was when blockchain gaming was really starting to become more of a mainstream thing that there was a lot of attention on. And there were a lot of people raising a lot of money without having, in my opinion, the best ideas for games. So I'm like, hey, I want there to be another game like this. Why don't I come in and try to make the game that I would love to play, that I've been waiting for someone to do this type of a game for a long time, and raise some money from some VCs, get a bunch of that, and then I can make the game that I want to play, which is all great. Then what I found is that the VC Web3 world was looking for something very specific, which wasn't my approach to it, which is, hey, let's make a great game first and only use blockchain to the extent that it makes the game better. Theirs was, well, here's a token playbook. You can use this and raise money and do whatever you want with it. I'm like, wait. No, what we're going to do instead, we're going to make a good game, and then we're going to look at how the Web3 side works. And they're like, no, that's not what we're interested in. So I'm like, all right, then we'll just make it ourselves, because I got far enough that I really wanted to see this happen. And so we did a couple of iterations. We shifted to this roguelite tactics RPG gameplay loop that I came up with actually after we did a proof of concept for the real-time strategy thing, and found it was a lot of work to get a half an hour playtime. And so I'm like, well, what is the way as a small studio we can get as much gameplay and build on those things that I love from a strategy and tactics RPG standpoint as a kid in, bite-sized, you can play for 5-10 minutes and have fun, or you can keep playing for hours if you want to. And what's something we could do with that? And so that's where this roguelike tactics RPG and the gorgeous pixel art that we have with it, that was kind of the birth of that. And then it grew from there over kind of a couple different iterations of alpha demos, and now we're into our open beta and kind of formal launch of Hunters of Faenora.
Awesome. I think it's very cool and inspirational when you're talking about how the original people you're working with are real focused on token economics instead of the actual gameplay and how it felt to play the game. And I was just curious, is that something that you find is common in this scene, or is it hit or miss, or what's your take on that?
It was, well, and still is, to an extent, extremely common from the investment side of it, right? So a lot of the Web3 gaming VCs
they had their playbook, and it was, hey, we're interested in what you're building, and if you follow our playbook to raise money for it, then you can do it. Look, and the market's frothy. If you raise a token and build enough hype, you can raise $1 million, $2 million on it, and then we'll take our piece, and then you can do whatever you want. But that's such short-term flash in the pan. It has nothing to do with what we wanted to build, where it's, this game is the beginning of an entire entertainment IP. So we've been way, I'm not going to say overprotective. We've been just super protective of our approaching it and the reputation that we have as a game-first studio, that it has made us, we've needed to keep the budget super tight, tighten the purse strings, and keep the team really lean to be able to manage that, whether it's a bull run or a bear market, and just execute on how can we make the best game that we can. But unfortunately, and it's kind of the VC playbook generally, right? If you're funding something, it's what is your quickest path to the return, the exit that you're looking for. And with some of these Web3 VCs in particular, not all of them, I haven't talked to all of them. I tend to start talking to some and then be like, I'm just going to focus on the game and not have these conversations anymore. But a lot of them coming from the Web3 space, it's more, how can we maximize our return? And that's their goal. Just didn't fit with what our goal was, which is how can we make the best games possible, and how can we build this entertainment IP that's going to last for decades, not just for a single token project.
Yeah, that's interesting too when you're mentioning how you have to plan out. You're planning out for decades long for Feynora's IP, and in order for the IP really to work as a game, it needs to be a good game, right? No one's gonna care for any IP from a game that no one wants to play. So it's like you have to take a more long-term approach when looking at stuff like this. So I really like that you were talking about that for Feynora. Now I'm looking through some of the Feynora's graphics and just how the gameplay looks so far. And is there anything that you would say is unique about your game's mechanics or art style?
So from an art style perspective, our goal was to make it immediately familiar, because no one knows 2TG, which is the name of the studio. So if no one knows the name of the studio and no one knows the game itself, the Feynora, then we needed to make sure that we could capture the magic of an art style that brings them back to understand what type of experience, to at least hook them to say, hey, am I interested in this or not? So that's why we wanted to do our best to make sure the quality is fantastic. I went through a ton of artists before I found one that could do the right characters. I went through a ton of artists before I found one that could do the right environment. And now we have our art director, and she's done a phenomenal job. And so it's been so important because no one knows us other than you see the trailer. What are you getting yourself into? Oh, it reminds me of Final Fantasy Tactics. It reminds me of Breath of Fire that I played as a kid, or all those things. We want it to have that nostalgic feel to it, but at the same time, have it unique enough that when someone, it's not a ripoff. It's inspired by, and it brings those kind of, at least for me, the nostalgic childhood emotions of seeing it, being like, yeah, I know that type of game, but still with the art style, and certainly with the humor that we weave into it, finding that specific Feynora voice and that specific Feynora tone that we're trying to kind of build as we build the IP and the expectations that people would have for anything Feynora going forward.
Cool. Looking at gameplay from the Feynora trailer that we just watched, it looks very smooth. Have you had any player testing? What's player feedback been so far? I know you're in an open beta phase right now.
Yeah, so before we got to our open beta phase, we had 3 phases of alpha demo testing. So we've had more than 10,000 people play it, give us feedback, try it out, and we've iterated and incorporated a ton of that feedback into it. So we've really taken the building in public approach with this. where sometimes it's challenging and painful when you put something out and things aren't working as well as you'd hope. Then you need to iterate and move. And that's the benefit of having kind of a lean, agile team. We've been able to adapt to doing that. But yeah, it's been, I think, the only way that we were able to get to this point with the game that people can play now, as smooth and polished as it is. That is kind of on the shoulders of thousands of people that spent time doing play testing and giving us their feedback and sticking with us from the early days, as it's really progressed a ton since our first alpha demo, for sure. Benefit back then was that no one knew about it, and so you have a handful of people find it, start playing it, and then we can iterate, and it's all been very organic in terms of how we've been.
That's cool. And I want to continue building on the topic of organic growth, because obviously Feynora is a Web3 game, and in the Web3 community is everything. You need a community, whether that's, on X, on Discord, or any other channels you want. So what role has community building played so far in Feynora's development?
I think the way that you framed it is perfect. Community is everything. That's the reason that we built the game on Solana blockchain. Because we felt that the Solana community was the best community to come and embrace us as a game that really wanted to be game first. And so what we found is an incredible amount of support through play tests and things like that, but also just people wanting to stream it because they're having fun with the game and wanting to stream and telling their friends. And that's the only way that you have proper organic growth. And we do not have a gigantic marketing budget to combat that. So that's really the only way that we've been able to get the traction and the eyes on this that we have. That's from a community that likes what they see. They like the ethos of how we're approaching it. And then, they stand behind us, and then we do our very best to do right by them. Because as we get feedback from them, there's this, it's a two-way street of the community is going to be there while we are doing our best and are treating them well. And there are projects where when the weight falls too heavy on one side, that, now we need to do this in spite of the community, then that's a really tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, I like what you added there with that kind of loop. There is really a feedback loop, not just in the Web3 game development scene, but in any scene where you're trying to build a community, because obviously you're trying to implement something new, whether it's a change in the software or even in content creation, whatever. You're making a change and you're seeing how your community reacts to it, and then you just keep on implementing more changes, and it's like a snowball effect. So there is like a feedback loop there. I'm just curious, because I tried looking on Feynora's website. Do you guys have a roadmap or anything like that?
We're very careful in terms of how we put out roadmaps, because dates are really hard to commit to, especially when we're trying to be agile as a studio. So we have a whole laundry list of different features, of different plans that we have. And as we're navigating what gamers who are starting to play find most desirable, then we're looking at, okay, what's the best next thing to implement? So we haven't put out a specific roadmap for that very reason, that we're iterating organically. I could put out a roadmap that talks about plans that we have for the next 5 years, and there's only one certainty that I would have about that roadmap, is that would not be the roadmap that we would follow. Because as we go down, we're going to figure out, hey, people really like this element that we didn't think was going to be as attractive. Well, if they loved it, then let's lean into that. Let's be able to do that. So, our vision of providing the best entertainment that we can in whatever medium, and right now it's through these games that are roguelike tactics RPG games,
that is the driving force. And so we have a very high level roadmap, and we're kind of right at a pivot point for it right now, because we just launched Hunters of Fenora on the Solana Seeker, and we've submitted a PSG1 version of that. And PSG1, those who don't know, is this like Play Solana Game Boy type thing here. So we've been working hard to get to that, because for Hunters of Fenora, that's mobile is the best experience for it. And then from there, we're going to be examining response to that, how we can lean into what people are loving about that, and how we can dive into that further. And then also we have Wildlands of Fenora, that's the non-Web3 version that there's this whole story that I want to tell throughout that. And so we'll be looking at moving forward with the early access launch of that this year too. So a couple things on the go, and we're just doing our best to be focused enough to make sure that we get things out and we execute, but be flexible enough that as there are things that the community is really engaging with, that we can service that, and we can continue to foster and build where those things pop up.
Interesting. You mentioned specifically with Fenora and the whole Fenora brand, how you have the Web3 part, and then you're planning to release Wildlands of Fenora, which is non-Web3. What was kind of your rationale or reasoning behind that? And I'm just curious, like, obviously you want to build the IP behind it, and it makes sense to target both the Web3 and non-Web3 audience, but what was your thought process behind that?
We started with it as one game concept. When I first, I had a bunch of sticky notes that I wrote out the game design concept for over a weekend. I was just like, wait, I have this idea of how we can do it and make it a game that we could actually develop with a budget of less than $2 million, which is kind of the other idea that I had. It was going to be a huge, hefty development fee. And I wasn't finding investors that were aligned with our approach on it. So went to the drawing board, and originally it was just, hey, Wildlands of Fenora, we'd start out with a very basic roguelite loop, build it in 4 months, and just push it out, because the Web3 scene is so starved for content. We might as well just do that and have the small. And then as the sorry, did someone?
Yeah, well, you just hit on the content. I'd been meaning to ask this. For content creators, do you guys offer any benefits or have a creator program for all the content creators that are watching this video currently?
Yes, that's a good call. We do. So, I would need our president of Web3 is the one who manages that. So what I can tell you with absolute certainty is that we do. The details of that, I would say, reach out to us at Fenoraverse on X, and then we'd be happy to kind of walk through how we set that up. Yeah, that's a great shout out. And so as we were building Wildlands, it was very narrow in scope initially, and then I saw, well, wait. When you go from writing it out on paper and actually playing it, that's the moment of truth. Hey, is this actually fun, or did this just seem fun in my head? And then you played, and you're like, so it was an awesome moment for me to play it the first time we had that full gameplay loop working. They're like, okay, this is great. I want to keep playing. We've hit on something with this. And then so we started building it out as Wildlands, thinking, well, this is going to be a good bridge between Web 2 and Web 3. And a lot of feedback that we got from both people in the gaming industry, like I went to Gamescom, and all the marketing people said, forget Web 3. There's enough here that you can do really well in like traditional gaming. Don't do anything experimental with that, because the traditional gamers don't like they think that anything crypto is a scam. So you're going to shoot yourself in the foot if you take that approach. But I'm too stubborn. I'm like, well, I really want to see what it looks like if a game studio is truly game focused and only does the Web3 stuff to the extent it makes the game better
I haven't seen anyone be so deliberate and focused on that. I want to see what happens. If you have a game and you can choose to use the Web3 side of it, do people choose to use the Web3 side or not? So I was too stubborn to let that idea go. But what we did is we split it up into 2 games. So we have Wildlands that's on Steam. That is single player, story focused, more of kind of a traditional premium game that you just buy and play. And then Hunters of Fenora that has this whole Web3 economy that we've built around it with NFT characters. We actually contributed to version 2 of the MPL 404, which is a hybrid NFT protocol. So we are the first gaming project to use it. We worked with Metaplex on actually setting up that protocol for gaming itself because we needed it to work in a very specific way so that it actually makes sense with the game design. And so that's kind of the approach that we took for it. And I there's some truth. There's certainly truth to if you're putting anything crypto in the face of traditional gamers, immediately they're going to be alarm bells ringing for them, and you're going to get some serious flack for it. And so I think where the future of Web3 gaming is going to go is those features that are enabled are going to be working more behind the scenes if you want to have more mainstream adoption. For us, being on Solana Seeker, on the PSG one, these are people who are very comfortable and familiar with crypto. They're gonna appreciate that and understand how those pieces work. And we've been really grateful to have so much support from people in terms of how we're approaching it and how we're kind of lining things up and focusing on blockchain in the way that we are.
Hey, Heathen, do you have any questions, anything you want to ask Nathan?
Yeah. What has the player feedback been like from demos or your betas?
I mean, it's been great. It's been the whole gamut of fantastic feedback and suggestions that we get every week. And often there's at least one piece of feedback that the community provides us that we're like, yeah, that's great. We'll throw it in on the next build. And there's two, the whole other side of, hey, I have so many suggestions for you that I'm basically telling you to make a different game. And then we say, okay, well, thank you for that. But clearly you're looking for a game that isn't the game that we're building. So I wish you luck in finding that game, because, it's, as a tactics RPG, any genre in gaming is going to have people who are huge fans of that genre and people who it's not their cup of tea. And so I know there have been a number of different people talking about, oh yeah, we're bringing on the next million gamers into Web3. For us, it's, hey, we're trying to find the people who love the type of game that we're making and giving them the opportunity to play it. And that's part of the reason that we built our economy the way that we have. Is it doesn't matter if there are 100 people playing it or 10,000 or 100,000, the reward mechanism is circular within the economy, because you're just competing against other people who are playing the game for spend that you are having. So the more people, the bigger the pot, but the more people you're competing against. None of it is driven by an inflationary token. None of it is driven by hype of, oh, it only works as long as the next couple of people come in, because I don't see any possibility for sustainability in that type of a system, because you're constantly needing more people to join. And there isn't a single product in history that has kept up the growth forever of everything they're doing. Even if you look at the biggest games with Fortnite and Minecraft, you are not going to see consistent growth month after month that would sustain it. And if the basis of your game model is that you are going to have that growth, then at the moment that drops off, you lose it. And unfortunately, we've seen a ton of gaming studios shut down and a bunch of Web3 game projects shut down for that exact reason, because then you can't pick it up again.
That's a great point. Growth, not just in gaming, but throughout, I guess, the entire scene, whether it's business or software development or anything, like growth is exponential, but it's also not constant. So if you just think month over month, I need to get, more players, more monetization, whatever your goals are that you're tracking for, if you're trying to see constant growth month over month, eventually that's going to stop. Eventually you're going to hit either a plateau or like a barrier you have to break through. And if your whole goal is constant growth, you're going to, like you said, you're going to have to shut down or have roadblocks.
Right. Where companies in other industries typically have a leg up in the sense is that it's clear that growth isn't your product. But if it's a Web3 product where all of the value is based on hype, then growth is your product. And you can't sustain that. You can't provide it forever. So if you have a business where, hey, it's hit that level, and if you go to, number of business schools will have the same type of curve of here, early stage, the hockey stick growth. And then as it gets to a certain point, it's going to level up. You're going to have new products and whatnot. But you are at that point where there's sustainable revenue from a base business model. If the product that you're selling is hype, it's just impossible to maintain growth hype forever. You can't do it. And that's why we have all these things in Web3 that come and go, and there's a bunch of money made within 2 months and then it's gone, right? Like the whole meme coin lottery stuff that just came out, and it was like, whoa, this is crazy. Imagine if you bought this and then later it's this, and 2 months later, no one remembered any of those things that everyone was talking about. Well, look, but you own the meme. Yeah, no one, like right now, no one cares about any of them. But in that moment, it had the hype. And so that's where people were throwing a ton of money at.
It's like, you got to buy fart coin, bro. It's going to go up. I'm telling you. And the whole meme coin stuff. So that's good. We've had a good interview with you so far, and we're starting to run a little bit out of time. So I want to ask one final question for you. And this question is going to be for all of the aspiring indie game developers that are watching the showcase. I know you mentioned earlier a little bit how you did law and mergers and acquisitions, and then now you're focused more on, obviously, game development. So what piece of advice would you give to an aspiring indie game developer who wants to take that next step and follow their dreams?
It is a great question, and there are a number of different elements to it depending on the specific game developer. So there are going to be some who are like, oh, it's hard to take a step out and do it because of the risk or uncertainty. For those people, I would say just make something. There are so many tools now that spend some, if it's your dream, then spend some time just working on trying it out, putting things out there. You will learn infinitely more just shipping something that isn't complete and getting feedback on it and seeing, and then iterating and growing from there. So do it and try stuff as you're growing. Really objectively look at feedback, and your game isn't necessarily a holy grail that no one else should touch because it's perfect. If you are looking to sell it to other people, you need to take their feedback. And so there's an element of, as you're building, try to get as much feedback as you can. Surround yourself, if you're growing a team, surround yourself with people who are passionate about what you're doing, who can take ownership and who can contribute more than you can. So that's one of the things. The only reason that we made the game as fantastic as it is now is not because I am an expert in art design and I'm an expert in systems and I'm a fantastic artist and all of this. It's I have been blessed and lucky enough that the people who have joined the team, I've been very specific about bringing people in and keeping people that are aligned with that they can bring themselves into the project.
So the Fenora game isn't the Nathan game. It's the whole team, everyone that's bringing their best into it, and that's making it be the best result that it can.
Very cool. It's definitely a collaborative effort.
100%.
Awesome. Do you guys have anything else, Rez or Heathen, that you want to add before we close off the interview? Okay, cool. So Nathan, it was nice talking to you today for the interview. Do you have anywhere you want to plug so people can, download Fenora or follow you guys on social media? Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely check us out on at Fenoraverse on X, on Twitter. You can play the game, Fenora.world on a browser, or if you have a Solana Seeker, that is really, I always say that mobile is the best experience for it. Or if you have a PSG one, then it'll be coming there soon. So definitely check us out. We have a Discord for people who have the NFT characters as well. So if you become part of the Fenoraverse by owning some of the game characters, then also make sure to join the community on Discord.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Perfect. Thanks a lot for having me.
No problem.
What's going on, guys? Your boy Showtime Satch, and we are here with MMA Empire. Now, clearly, I don't have a degree in video game marketing, so this is going to be as good as we get for a trailer, but welcome. I'm glad you guys have joined us. MMA Empire is an MMA management style game where you can sign fighters, schedule fights, expand territory, and become the greatest MMA company in the world. There's a lot of interesting features in this game. I hope I can run them over with you. If you guys are interested, you can download this game. It's going to be free to play on Steam. On the screen here, we're overgoing the navigation and the tutorial menu. But the important things to know in this game, fighters are all different. They have different stats, they have different styles, and this affects their personal success, how each fight turns out. And matching up these styles is very important. So there's a strategy involved there. You can upgrade your gym facilities to improve your fan turnout, your monetary success. Eventually, you can expand into different regions, compete against other rival companies, and even buy out these companies, take over their roster, take over their fans, and eventually become the one to rule them all. Overall, I think this is a great opportunity for people who've always wanted this kind of experience, but the AAA market hasn't given it to them. You have to turn to the indies, and here we are. So if you guys, sounds interesting to you, please try it out. This is a one-man army. MMA Empire. Build your empire and start your legacy today.
So, my friend Don has this log cabin about 2.5 hours south down in West Virginia. I've heard a lot of stories of musicians retreating away for a bit, get out of their element. And these guys come out of it having written the best music of their lives. I just thought that if you were willing, I'll give you the directions and I'll give the guy notice that you could be staying all next month. I just thought maybe you'd like to take the time away to get an album out. A new classic Neon Songbird album. Well, the place isn't exactly 5-star. Maybe living a bit off the grid, but I don't know. You can show everyone that you've still got it. What do you say?
You know what? Yeah. Yeah, let's do it.
Welcome back, everyone, to the High Tide Indie Game Showcase. We just saw the trailer for Project Songbird, and today I'm joined by Connor Rush, and we're going to be talking about Project Songbird, his game, and just his overall career as a indie game developer. So, I was just talking to Connor as soon as we just finished watching the trailer. It's very cinematic and well put together, and just watching it through the full minute and a half, honestly, I fell in love with not just the cinematography, like how to sell the scenes of your game as a video game trailer, but I also liked the concept itself, having a cabin in the woods, and it's what all these successful past musicians go to, really hone in on their craft.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and I'll say again here because we're live now, but a big inspiration for me making this game was a lot of that new wave of modern art house experimental horror movies. The real slow, moody stuff. It gets under your skin. I use it as colloquialism a lot. A24 type of horror movies, like your Ari Aster, especially Robert Eggers, that make huge Eggers fan. But additionally, the works of David Lynch. I really wanted this game to feel like you're playing through one of those slow burn or surreal.
Awesome. And we kind of spoke about how A24 is so your inspiration when it comes to the horror side of things. What was your overall inspiration to create Project Songbird?
Project Songbird, it came from a place of coming off of my previous big release Summer. That released in 2020. And it was free. I was 18 years old when it came out, and it was a bigger success than I could have ever imagined. I think it's sitting at somewhere around 250,000 downloads on Steam, and that's still just an absurd number with me. But having hit that, it now this pressure on me, I feel, not from anyone in particular, just internal pressure to deliver again and to do something that felt, if not just as good, better than Summerland. A lot of my writing process for that were based on those feelings. It was a lot of me dealing with those feelings of adequacy and artistic fulfillment and how to please an audience. And I think a lot of that comes through very clearly in final version of Project Songbird.
Awesome. When I noticed watching the trailer too about Project Songbird, you're coming out, I believe, March 26th, full release, and it's going to be not just on Steam, it's going to be on PlayStation and Xbox as well.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Congrats. What was that like? Just having to, I guess, develop a game not just on one platform on Steam, but having to work with multiple platforms. How did that affect your game development process?
So for me, it didn't affect a lot in terms of the development process, except for this latter stretch that we're in right now. So I developed this thing fully just PC in mind. And as I was nearing the end of development, I started realizing there's a big market for the console stuff that I should really be getting this game to as many people as possible. And I've had people with previous games of mine saying oh man, I'd love to play this, but it's not on console. So I started researching, and I was like, oh, maybe I could do it myself. So I got a PlayStation Partners account, I got an Xbox ID account, all these back-end things I would need to make it happen. And then I started researching the actual development process, and I was like, oh, it's $3,000 for a dev kit. All right, well, that's a one-time expense. Maybe we can make it work. Oh, I need Unity Pro, which is $8 a month. And I'm a 24-year-old, recent college grad. I can't afford $1,800 a month. All right, other options. So I started workshopping publishers. I was kind of just cold emailing people. I would find a horror game on PlayStation that looked kind of similar to scope or scale as Songbird and reach out to that publisher and be like, hey, I saw the work you did on this. It was really good. I have another thing here that you guys might be interested in. Here's press kit. Here's all this stuff. Let me know what you think. And one got back to me. So we're moving forward. They handle porting. They're publishing on consoles. They got localization done. So we're going to be launching in 7 languages.
Awesome.
Also just it's a big scale up from my previous working experience, and I'm happy to be doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's definitely an inspiration for other game developers watching this as well, because it is an expensive process if you're trying to do it by yourself, and having I don't want to say balls, having the courage to cold email all these publishers, and you probably deal with some rejections along the way, but you got the publisher, and now it's going to be on every console. It definitely felt more like a movie, and I think it's cool that you mentioned, your inspiration being Robert Eggers and Ari Aster, because I remember like old school. I'm not saying old school Ari Aster when I'm really mean like 2018. Yeah.
Whenever Hereditary came.
Yeah, so when Hereditary came out, I think it was like 2017, 2018. And then Midsommar, like he just came out with 2 back-to-back beautiful movies, yeah.
My biggest hot take, Ari Aster's miss. I think all 4 of his movies, primo material. People didn't like Beau's Afraid. People were not feeling Beau's Afraid.
I agree with that. I agree with I guess everyone else's opinion on Beau's Afraid. I didn't really like it that much. I mean, there was a lot of cool shots, cool cinematography, don't get me wrong. But I liked, how he tried to show like paranoia. Like I definitely liked it. But I just didn't like how, I guess, if all came together as a movie. Shots were really cool.
No, I get it. I see where people are coming from. They're like, yeah, the first hour and a half is excellent. I wish it was an hour and a half. Yeah, that first hour and a half, I was dying laughing for half of it. It is a funny movie. That second half pulls some weird surrealism stuff that I was super into it. But I'm a big surrealism guy. So I don't know. It was just kind of up my alley.
Yeah. Your feet in the pool, getting your toes wet, jumping in, and yeah.
And like I said, it's easier than it ever has been, like right now. So many free tools. I did not spend a cent on making games for my first free.
That's awesome. Well, it was nice speaking with you, Connor, and having you on for the High Tide Indie Game Showcase. Is there any places that you want to promote for Project Songbird for anyone listening?
All the places, everything. I'm on so many social media platforms. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts. My TikTok is Connor Rush. That's CONNERRUSH. My Instagram is Connor_W_Rush. And my YouTube is Fire Games Official. That is FYRD Games Official. You can also find me on X. That's Fire Games Real. You can find me on Blue Sky. And it goes Fire Games. Also, Project Songbird.
That's the best plug we've had yet.
And I got this stuff memorized.
Yeah. That's what it was. You practiced it.
Leave your thoughts in the comments.
Yep. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Bash that like button.
All right. It was nice having you on. Thank you all for listening, High Tide Showcase. And we'll see you all in the next one.
Where's my daughter? Where is she? This is who I am. Stop until I find her.
Emily? What? The hell?
welcome in everyone. Today I'm joined by Iqbal, the creator of Common Anomaly, and we just played his trailer, and we have a lot of questions for him. This is a game that I find very, very interesting for a few reasons. As you saw in the trailer, there's a few concepts I like. I like games where you have to kind of find, paranormal activities and find out, what ghost or what demon is, possessing someone. And I do like as well that there's like a traitor I saw near the end from the family. Potentially, you got to figure out who's the traitor. So that's a cool concept. I'm joined today by Those, a creator for High Tide Gaming, a creator in the gaming community, does a lot of giveaways. And yeah, we're just here to interview Iqbal and ask him a few questions. Hello. Would you like to introduce yourself, Iqbal?
Hello. Okay. Thank you, Dom. I'm Iqbal. I'm a studio called Plexus and Ori Studios, and we created this whodunit horror game called Common Anomaly. And in this game, we want to tell a story about this guy. He's actually not really a good guy, and a lot of people want him dead. So, as a player, we have to find out which one of his family members is the one who is trying to get him killed.
Okay, cool.
So,
yeah. So, what was your inspiration to create Common Anomaly?
So art-wise, we are heavily inspired by old tabloid Indonesian comics. So it's really campy and old, and we are trying to emulate that style. And story-wise, we are influenced by the Indonesian folklore, and also like detective stories like Sherlock Holmes, stuff from Agatha Christie, movies like Nurse Out. So we kind of like, we want to combine the horror from our homeland with the internationally known detective stories. That's the main inspiration.
Okay, interesting. So all of the I don't know if to call it paranormal activities or the abnormalities that we notice, is all of that Indonesian folklore?
They are based on Indonesian folklore, but they are not. They're a creation. We create those creatures for this game.
Okay.
But they are based on the Indonesian folklore.
Very interesting. So when you were developing this game, I like the style of it, I like the artistic style, but in the development process, what was the biggest challenge you faced while developing this game?
The first one, I think, is when we try to define the scope of the project. We don't want the game to be too long, but we don't want it to be too short either. So we kind of have to balance the game so that it will be still long enough for people to enjoy the story, but not that long that the story drags on. I think that's the first challenge. And right now, our challenge is to market the game.
Yeah, I mean, continue those. I'll let you.
I was gonna say marketing is like literally the hardest part for any developers, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
and we just find out about that.
It's funny because you work so hard to create this game, you put all your time and effort into it, and it feels like that's just the first challenge, developing the game and getting it ready. And that's a whole fight within itself that you have to work hard on. And then once you finish that, then it's like, okay, now I have to market it and get people to be aware of my game. And that's a whole nother challenge. So it's funny.
True.
So you mentioned when you're trying to think of I guess how long you wanted this game to be played, you said you didn't want it to be too long, you didn't want it to be too short either. Do you have an estimated playing time for this game?
For the full version, we are trying to get to 2 to 3 hours of gameplay per playthrough. But in this game, we want, how many horror games, it's just like you play it only once and then you're done. We're trying to make a horror game that is replayable. So the replayability is built into this game, where the culprit is different every time you play. So you have to find different mastermind of this.
So question. So since we have all these characters, is the story based on the outcome of your decisions, and it's going to be different endings each time?
So different endings in the way that there will be different clues that is given in each playthrough. There will be different characters with the mastermind, but the whole structure is about the same. Because if we stray to different for each character, people can guess the character just by playing the first part. You know what I'm saying? If it's too unique for that character, the story, when they play it again and they find certain milestones in that story, they can already guess who the culprit is.
Okay, got it. Okay, cool. So when you're building, I want to get more to the horror aspect of this real quick. When you're trying to build the horror feel and that atmosphere, what technique did you use with like lighting or sounds or pacing to kind of make that scary feel?
I learned a lot from playing like BioShock and Dead Space. In that, sometimes the scariest thing is when you expect something to be there, but it's not. Instead of just of course there are jump scares too. So we try to emulate that style, by having things that are oddly placed, or some dark figures that is standing, not doing anything right now, but maybe later. So those are the tricks that we are trying to implement in this game, but also the jump scares, and also the sound design. I think we try to emulate how sounds will reach your ear when it comes from a different room, when it comes from maybe from a different from the hallway instead of the hospital room, and we try to use that to the things. And we try to use that to help the players to find the clues, because some of the clues is not really feasible. But we try to use that also to disturb the player.
Okay, very cool and interesting with the sound design aspect. You had like if I heard this correctly, you had spatial sounds. So if someone's coming from the hallway, you heard it more in your right ear than your left ear, for example, something like that.
Yes, and also when they are from behind an object, we try to make it sound like they are from behind an object. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. And I'm just curious, what game engine did you use to create Common Anomaly?
We use Unity, and use Unity tools to animate the 2D characters.
Interesting. Okay. Do you have anything though?
So was the comic style like completely handmade art and all that stuff, or was it just built in the engine? That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. We are actually our studio is actually an art. We do a lot of art for other studios, and now we want to do our own stuff. So we make Common Anomaly and one more game called the Blue Cat Book. And actually, illustration and graphic design is one of our core skills. So we want to put it into the game. We want to show it to the world.
Okay. So if I may ask, how long was like the development period and like basically the budget to I like seeing numbers and budgets and stuff and how much it cost. I think it's interesting.
Okay. So
talk about that. So
I think I can talk about how long we've been developing this and how long we can. We are aiming. Okay, so we are working on this game from July last year. So it's almost a year now, maybe 8 months. And I think we need another maybe 6 months or 8 months to finish the game.
Okay.
Our team is like 4 or 5 people right now.
Wow.
For this game.
So very small.
Yes, just each.
Are you all local in Indonesia?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so the entire team is all based in the same area?
Actually, our music director is in Poland, I think.
Okay.
He is based in Poland.
Yeah, I'm curious because I've seen some studios where we spoke with, and they have, you know, like lead developers. Some people are in like Poland, some people are in Japan, some people are in Argentina. It's really global, and some of these teams truly work global when it comes to developing these games. So I'm curious, like asking, where these studios are from.
Yeah, we are mostly in Indonesia.
Okay, very cool. And do you have a demo out currently or no?
Yes, we have. So you can just go to our Steam page and then click the demo, and you can download and play it.
Okay.
How is
We will. How has player feedback been with the demo so far?
So they like the story, they like the art. Obviously, I think the biggest thing that they like is the art, the visuals, and also they like the mechanics. But a lot of them say is that it's too short. So right now we are adding more mechanics and content to the game. So the demo is only the first chapter. In the full game, there will be like 2 or 3 chapters, and we're working on those things right now.
Okay. So is every chapter going to be about saving Reynold Sorosa, or is we going to find new characters into this? Is it just going to be Reynold?
I think we're going to change the one who is sick in the second chapter, and we are also going to add another cast of characters as the suspects.
Okay. Very cool. What's next for your game studio after this launches? I know you said you have 6 to 8 more months left. It's kind of a long timeline, but I am curious just in general. Do you have anything prepared?
Right now? Yeah, right now we are still working in tandem, in parallel. We're still working with on this other game called Blue Cat Book. It's also on Steam. It's a tavern management and / RPG game. I think that's the second one, or maybe it's the first one we are going to release, and then after that, come normally. And after that, we are right now we are cooking this like adventure fighting game like Sifu or Karateka. If you've played those games, yeah, we are planning to do that.
Very cool. Awesome. We're gonna have you back on and talk about Blue Gato and your future games as well.
Yeah, do you like RPGs?
Yes, we do.
All right. I have one last question. Do you have anything before I ask the last one?
No. I don't really have anything.
Okay. So, Iqbal, this is, I guess, a question for other game developers who are going to be watching the showcase live next week. What's the best piece of advice you'd give to an aspiring indie developer trying to launch their game?
My advice would be try to make a game as fast as you can, as quickly as you can, as soon as you can, and don't worry about this. Try to make it small enough, manageable enough. Try to gain experience. Try to expand your vocabulary on, all the tools, all the stories, mechanics, arts, and don't worry about failing, because I think to be successful in this field, failure is just, it's almost guaranteed. So you just might as well face it head on.
I like that. Yeah, I like that advice. I think for a lot of people, and it's not even just game developers, this goes in any industry. I feel like a lot of people overthink. They, start over planning even. I need to do this, or whatever they're trying to achieve in life, when it really, you just got to jump right in. You're going to make mistakes. There's going to be problems, but no matter what happens, even if you overthink it and plan it, those same problems are going to happen. Those same mistakes are going to happen. You just got to jump in and deal with it as they come. And that's how you really develop. Awesome. It was great speaking with you, Iqbal. I had a great time. I want to bring you back on later for Blue Gato or for other games that you and your studio release. Is there anything you'd like to leave, or I guess plug for Common Anomaly? Do you want to plug the Steam or anything, Twitter, social medias?
Maybe just if you want, you can follow us on Twitter at Common Anomaly, Instagram Common Anomaly 2, and visit our Steam page, of course, and try the demo. And if you have anything, any feedback, if you feel some part of the game is off or just about anything, just let us know, and we'll try to make it the best that we can. And also, we'd like to thank you for Don and those. Thank you for having me on this interview.
No problem. It was great to have you on. As I said, this is going to be aired in about a week. So next Friday, this will be aired. I'm excited. We'll make sure to push it out on social medias, on X, on YouTube. We'll get your game out in as many avenues we can.
Okay.
Have a good night.
So much short.
Have a good night. Take care.
Have a good day. See ya.
What's going on, guys? Your boy Showtime Satch, and we are here with MMA Empire. Now, clearly, I don't have a degree in video game marketing, so this is going to be as good as we get for a trailer, but welcome. I'm glad you guys have joined us. MMA Empire is an MMA management-style game where you can sign fighters, schedule fights, expand territory, and become the greatest MMA company in the world. There's a lot of interesting features in this game. I hope I can run them over with you. If you guys are interested, you can download this game. It's going to be free to play on Steam. On the screen here, we're overgoing the navigation and the tutorial menu. But the important things to know in this game, fighters are all different. They have different stats, they have different styles, and this affects their personal success, and how each fight turns out. And matching up these styles is very important. So there's a strategy involved there. You can upgrade your gym facilities to improve your fan turnout, your monetary success. Eventually, you can expand into different regions, compete against other rival companies, and even buy out these companies, take over their roster, take over their fans, and eventually become the one to rule them all. But overall, I think this is a great opportunity for people who've always wanted this kind of experience, but the AAA market hasn't given it to them. You have to turn to the indies, and here we are. So if you guys, sounds interesting to you, please try it out. This is a one-man army. MMA Empire. Build your empire and start your legacy today.
Alright guys, welcome back into the High Tide Indie Game Showcase. Today, we're also joined by Those, the High Tide creator, and Armin, the creator of Death Counter, the trailer you just saw. We have a few questions to ask Armin for Death Counter. This is a very interesting game. When we asked for indie games to send in their trailers, send in their work for this indie game showcase, we had a few creators who said we really like this concept of Death Counter, so we wanted to bring him on and just ask you a few questions, Armin. So first, I just want to start with, what was your inspiration to create the game?
Inspiration. Every time I make a game, there's a goal. The goal is to come up with a new mechanic. Like, it's not like just creating mechanic or find a cool mechanic, combine mechanic. It's not like that. It has to be like inventing a new mechanic. That's the goal first. And then based on whatever comes, sometimes it takes 6 months. Like you have like 100 mechanic in your head, but maybe they're a good idea, but it's not good enough. To do the prototyping either in your head or really start coding and start playing in a prototype environment. It's not working at the end, most of them, like 99% not going to work. So sometimes even it's going to take 1 year to come up with the new mechanic, right? And then after the mechanic, like the new mechanic comes, like that's how I work. I think of, okay, what genre suits this, what kind of art style, what kind of even platform. Sometimes VR, some mechanics only work on VR. The inspiration was always for all of my games just, okay, what kind of mechanic can come up with that's cool enough and creative enough. And then everything else, if it's a good idea, everything just is like Lego, just everything is start building up immediately. It's like exponential progress you can see in terms of creative stuff.
Okay. So that's interesting from a technical standpoint, where you focus on trying to get, a new mechanic right, and then you kind of build on top of that for your game. So what was that new mechanic for Death Counter?
The mechanic about the Death Counter, it was not having the main character as the player. Like the AI character, everything is about her, the Death Counter, the agent. And the game, it depends on what happens to her. The game is started because of her. The whole progress is about her. But the gamer actually, the task for the gamer is to influence her or manipulate the outcome of her job or her result.
Okay.
That was the whole thing. Just kind of like it's a second person gameplay, but not some like previous second person game you played before. Like that. Just the best example of second person mechanic was that in the game Driver San Francisco, and it was in coma, because driving some car, and you realize it was a first person camera, but you realize you're driving the car in front of you and stuff, driving the car, the camera is in it, you know what I mean? But this actually is a second person, like you're not important, you're something that you do whatever, but at the end of the day, the gameplay progress based on what she does. And she's doing influenced by your gameplay.
So you're playing the game's POV from this girl. Is she the girl sitting at like the desk?
From the camera.
Okay.
From the camera, yeah. The camera view you see just is a camera view, is a recorder. It's just an old VHS recorder. But the player that actually you can control the character. The character is the cameraman in the black and white in the projector. And the Death Counter, the AI, is watching the movie, the film you're recording. And as a cameraman, you just recording, just showing, going different places and just record events, or in this case, there's lots of corpses.
That's very interesting. It kind of reminds me, not directly, but it does remind me a little bit of Five Nights at Freddy's, where you're sitting in a chair watching, cameras. And in this POV, you're sitting in that chair and you're watching the camera grow and you're trying to help her out. So I think that's very interesting.
Was that the inspiration for your game?
Similar to that. In Five Nights at Freddy, you actually you're the operator operating the cameras, right? It's like the security guard to operate the camera. But in this case, it just is like you're watching yourself play. You know what I mean? Like you're inside of another time period and inside of another environment, outside of this room that you're always in. Like exactly like Five Nights at Freddy, you're always in the same room at the beginning of it. But you keep watching through different cameras as an operator, as a security guard camera operator. But this one, you're actually the first person. If you only consider that projector, the black and white part of the screen, that's a first-person game, right? But it's important what's happening in the room, a room that you're not in it as a player, as your character is not in it, but you have a view out of it because actually someone else watching the rating process in the future is based on a three-linear story. That what something happened in the past, like in 40s, that the cameras were mute. You could only record 3 minutes at a time. You have to change a film, right? It's like World War II, that era, like that old era of documentation. And then we go to the 1960s, that is the death counter exists, and watching old footages from the horror, documented horror from CIA.
Really
all secret.
So,
and then the story actually happens in our period, us as a player, like 2026. That's actually, you watch all of this. It's 3-layer time period, and all of them sync together. 1960s, 1940s, and 2026 as we are. So all events are gonna keep connecting. Everything happened in the past, in 1940, is going to influence the 1960s. Everything like that happened in the 1960s, influence the current time. The current time is really complex. It's not exactly 1926, like post 2000.
Okay. So when I think about just the possibilities of this game being from the camera girl's POV and how you said you're syncing 3 different timelines, there's a lot of potential to scare people. There's a lot of like horror potentials here because you could scare people through the camera girl's POV. You could scare people through the death counter's POV. There's a lot of creativity you have with how you can scare people and make the game like more horror. So what techniques did you use for death counter to kind of make it scary?
For the scare part, I'm like a lot, because I have a engineering background. Before I start doing the whole solo developer thing, I used to work as a game programmer for almost 12 years. I got from junior, senior, and become lead Unreal Engine programmer in AA companies. So I'm really like engineering problem solving mindset. So when you go like code like an engineer instead of the practitioner, like programmer, you find out, okay, what is the fundamental like science, the computer science of architecture for this CPU, for that thing, for this thing, and then you start coding. For this, I had to actually do a little bit of a study of how fear works in brain. So I had to study the hardware, and then based on that, okay, now I have an idea, let's try. But it wasn't just like trial and error, this one worked, this one. In theory, it has to work, and then I start coding and prototyping. And this one, I really wanted to, in terms of inspiration, I inspired from movies in terms of what type of fear I want to actually give the player. And the movies I get inspired was like Paranormal Activity, The Fourth Kind. It was like very eerie atmosphere that actually you have a very past, like you already have a past experience, past data, past information about, okay, this atmosphere is a dangerous atmosphere, first of all, right? And then the fact that you have in a smaller screen, that the player plays in that smaller screen, that like on wider screen, the project or the film, it actually works with your what it calls the focus, the attention. Your amygdala gets so active to get focused on a small screen, you keep forgetting that it's still is in the room. Like when you watch a scary movie, you want to turn off the light, so you get inside of that screen, not in the room. You just keep forgetting, and even a 2 years old can give you a jump scare. You don't have to be a genius, like a horror maker, to scare you that the state, right? That the state of mind. The amygdala is charged of is fear sensitivity, but also is in charge. It gets very active when you get in the zone. Doesn't matter what you do. But that's why when you're in the zone, it's just you forgot about where you are, what is your environment. You're in the zone. The smallest technique you can jump scare. This is from the jump scare part. So every time it goes, you saw in this trailer, there was some white silhouette. White silhouettes. Some of the characters can transfer from the film, from the past, to the present of the death counter. So the ghost was transitioning from the film into the room, right? And based on that, it stopped the paranormal activity. You saw the book moving, the projector moving, the glass breaking. These are those ghosts. So the player, if he wants to make it life easier, they have to avoid capturing or recording ghosts of those corpses. So this kind of stuff is very easy to give jump scare, just to transition something jump out of like a movie inside of your room, a dark room, right? And then every time you're gonna get it, I'm making this game for almost 8 months. I have 1,000 play hour every time. Oh, who cares? I'm testing the game every time. Just when it happened so many times, just once again, it's become annoying because 1,000 hours of gameplay. Annoying why I keep it scaring, just why I don't get used to this. The jump scare part is actually the easiest part, but also I wanted the atmosphere. The atmosphere is not easy. Atmosphere, you have to do the sound. You have to do sound engineering. You have to actually, you have to do good art. It's just not engineering. You have to actually do lots of trial and error. The sound, I put in a lot of work on the sound. From the technical side, the sound on 3D. So if you see footage step, you see all of the events happening, even like the death counter, the agent, she is scared. If she saw something unusual in the screen, she's gonna scream, and that's you're gonna scare. If or the breath count, all of the stuff it keep changing based on what she sees on the screen, what you show her actually. So all of the sound is 3D. If you play with headphone, I actually recommend that you can feel the source of each sound. And the location even of those sounds is based on evolutionary psychology part. That some part of your body, if it's a sharp object with sharp sound, you're more sensitive because it's more danger. That's why the ghost, you see all this transition on the left side because it's the same side as your heart. I had to actually do this kind of stuff. It hits 2 times more jump scare, something scary from your heart side.
Interesting.
And also the ears, eyes, all stuff. The sound, you do a very good job from that part. Just I'm happy with it, with that part. It got better according to my friends and playtesters. It got better than I thought. So I'm happy. Hopefully, more people will enjoy it. Yeah, that's it. It's more. VFX is just more of a magic tricks. You have to keep doing these magic tricks and manipulate how the limbic system works in the brain. Just the fear is just this emotion. Just it's too deep.
Yeah.
It's nervous system.
I find it interesting how you spoke about a few things there. How you use spatial sounds to kind of start more jump scares and get you scared. I also like how you mentioned, and I never thought about this when you mentioned with Death Counter, how you're so focused on this little screen. They're trying to pull your attention into this little screen that when people and other things come from outside of the screen, it's going to scare you. It's kind of like you said earlier, turning down the lights and focusing on a scary movie to just surround everything else around you and avoid it. So I do like that concept. Do you have anything you want to add, those?
Yeah. How how long was the development process for your games?
This is one of the actually the question I'm asked about this project. In my previous game, it was like a very kind of organized psychedelic game. It was like a puzzle shooter inspired by Antichamber, but it has its own soul. Everything is original. But the thing was, the biggest mistake I did with that was a scale. Just doesn't matter. I just any other indie developer asks me, they say everything you think in your head that the game, the project gonna take, multiply it by 3. That's a real world. That's multiplied by 3. If that's your budget, the budget when I say budget, if like my age, I have to pay rent, I have to pay, I don't live with my parents, all stuff. I have to actually budget the money part. It's important. The rent, everything. And if you don't have to pay rent or all stuff like that, it's time. It's just time. The budget for time is very important, and that actually is equal to how much you can price your game. If you make it, for example, as an indie game, like if you make a $20 game, and then the market is not ready for any reason, the people don't know you, the publisher doesn't do a good job, or you don't do a good job for marketing, people not gonna give you give your product a chance. It's high price for their mind, even the price is it's perfect, right, for the product. But you have to also consider the market aspect is very important, and the scale. Just if you want to make a $20 game, you have to have that amount of budget for making it. For a $20 game, for example, 3 years minimum. You have to be a seller for 3 years. Right? It's a 3 years project. If you want a $10 game, it's almost 2 years. But this one, the scaling part, I had like an idea. The concept was good. A story very easy to write a good story for it. Again, because of the concept was kind of unique. But maybe I spent 6 months to scale down the project. 6 months, like the pre-production phase. Pre-production took 6 months. The production took 8 months. Like the whole game finished in 8 months. One person doing everything: music, art, programming, everything. But 6 months pre-production to just make it happen. So it can get done in 8 months. If I didn't do it, that's the more challenging part. They say many Indian developers, big companies I work, one of the biggest, even they had $2 million project, they always short. Because the pre-production phase, the whole game took 3 years, pre-production took 2 months. How you have in the movie industry to solve this problem? In the movie industry, actually, is the opposite. That they do 3 years of pre-production and 90 days of production. They record everything and they go to post-production. In games, it's not there yet. It just is not developed in that mindset. It's not there yet. So I think based on my experience with the game companies I work and my own first solo project, my previous project, I found out that's the crypto for indie developers. That's the part that actually a kryptonite, not crypto, kryptonite. That's the part that you want to actually failing. Just the game is already overpriced or underpriced. At the end of the day, they're not gonna make even. The budget they put doesn't matter, time, money. They're not gonna even make that. I was lucky. My previous game actually did good. I stayed with the last session. I got lucky. 1 year after release, not 1 year, 11 months after release, the trailer got an idea and it got like 150K view on it. It survived back from this 11 months after full release. I got lucky. I'm not gonna count on that. I have to do actually everything. I have to learn as much as I could from my previous.
That's very interesting, and you're right too. How pricing has a big effect on, the actual obviously return on investment, because these games take years, and when you're looking at a budget, you can budget not only for, how do I say this, like you have to budget not only for I guess, like you said, the actual monetary value of, hey, like it's going to cost me this much to produce, and then obviously I have to pay rent and things like that. But you also have to budget for the time aspect, like we said, because those are two separate things that you have to kind of weigh. And then once you have those two budgets and things figured out, then you have to figure out the pricing model. And, how many copies of the game do I have to sell at this price in order to even break even? Just not even make a profit, just to break even and sustain yourself. So that's a very interesting discussion that we have with a lot of developers. One thing I do want to ask you.
Is that okay if I add one more thing? The marketing, I put the marketing and the testing, all the stuff, and polishing, localization also, I put it in the post-production. The post-production, doesn't matter if your game takes 1 year, another 1 year you need for marketing. If it takes 6 months, I don't know how to market a game in 6 months, but I think you can say 1 year. 1 year is the minimum amount you can do post-production. Yes. I just want the developers to be realistic about these timelines, because they know they have 3 years of rent. For example, for me, it was the case. I have 3 years of rent, 3 years of paying bills, but you put all of them in production, it's 3 years. It's not actually the real time.
Yeah. So you mentioned how your last game, you're able to be successful with marketing and you ended up making your money back. You said you got into IGN. What kind of marketing tactics or tricks did you use to help promote your game?
Like, I called all of the stuff I did. It took 1.5 years. After I finished the game, it took 1.5 years as a full-time job marketer to market the game. Eventually, with the brute force, just grinding, I got almost to 12 different festivals. I got into not the main showcase, the Game Award 2023, the indie section. I got GDC 2024. I got what was the other one? Asian Game Showcase. That one,
the Indie Game Awards. Is that the other one that we're talking about?
It didn't like my game. I applied to that. I applied 2,000 every time, $75. Not even a review. I was like so heartbroken, because I was a super fan. I was super fan before I got to India stuff. I was watching IGF area, but all the other events, the GDC, the game showcase, the Game Award, or the mix, all of them, 12 in total. I have all of this logged in. I wrote it down. So all of this, I got there, and right now, that's the most important part. That's the most important part. Bigger than social media and stuff. Even I was doing with social media, like 1,000 likes, 1 million views, all the stuff. The wishlist ratio, they call it, is not worth it. At least for me. Maybe other genres had different experience. But the Game Award and the showcases, it had the highest return. Like and I got in all of them for free. And when zero, but there's lots of work. We have to keep sending. We have to be alert. And after that, the IGN part, I don't know how come. Just it got there, maybe from one of those awards, and I didn't even know about it. I just go to my Steam portal, Steamworks, and I saw the 2,000 wishlist, 1,000. It just, I had to investigate what happened, right? And it was all just one video in the right, like a popular platform, but the same trailer I put in my own channel. Like I have a very small, under 100 members follower YouTube channel as a developer. So it was there, and I got 3K views, but same video, exact same video. 1 year later, it got like 150K view in 1 week. It was insane.
That's awesome. You probably remember that day, like exactly, right? Like how did it feel when you first, logged onto Steam and so like, holy crap, I got 3,000 wish lists or whatever in 1 day?
That part was a shock. But back of my head, okay, something happened. and I started to get emotional. I get to YouTube, the first recommendation on YouTube, it was the Game Trailers channel, IGN Game Trailers. He was there, and I just saw the thumbnail. I had to cry. I had a 20-second religious experience. Religious experience I had. At that 20 seconds, it was really all the pain. All the pain I had in the last 15, not like just 2 years, because it depends on the person. But I'm very passionate about the art form, the whole game art form. I take it seriously as much as movies, music is like pure art. I see it that way. And I started developing games because I saw Limbo, the game. And so many people, like maybe GTA, some more cool games, but Limbo there was a moment I was a software engineer, a student like this. I said I have to drop and I have to become a game developer. I'm based in. I was born in Iran. I'm based in Thailand now. I live here for 9 years, but over there is no game developers. Back then in 2010, no game developers. Just doesn't exist. The industry doesn't exist. Well, so I had to do it. It was like a calling in Limbo. Just watch a trailer, the calling. Okay, you're a programmer. Everyone said it's impossible. But you have to do it. I don't care what's going to happen. And you get into the industry, you get to the art form to create your own stuff. You have to, just work for other people. And I had a different expectation. I thought I start working on game companies. Everyone, the main focus is how to actually serve the art form or the industry, and how, while we're doing it, how we can make money. It wasn't like that at all. It was all money, everything sacrificed. Doesn't matter what it is, right? And when you do, you want to eliminate that level of risk. Almost they want to go to the zeros. All you do is copy, just clone. All the game designers, all they do is just play one game that the product owner wants you to to reach. Just whatever the game is. All day, every day, after 1 year, 2 years, everyone in the whole company they hate that game. Not your game, just I hate that game because they keep comparing. That's why because they're reaching, they want to reach something that already exists before. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And and I knew I cannot do it. I have to save money, and it took more than a decade savings to fund my previous stuff. Like I had 3 years, but it took me 10 years or 11, 12 years maybe if I go in details, but that much to save enough for 3 years of being free.
Mm-hmm.
So
to chase your dream.
But that was the whole thing. And then in that moment, I saw IGN GTA. That thumbnail was the pain from that all those years. Not for Archer's Rifle, but that like 15 years I was waiting for this.
Yeah.
They see my game for free, not paying, not just because if you publish it, just pay your way for anything you want, But even Game Awards, they say $1 million. they asked $1 million for featuring a trailer, but that was something else. That 20 seconds, it wasn't too much, but that 20 seconds, it was something else.
Yeah. I can't imagine. It's one of those feelings when, and it's not just in game developers, it's whenever you take a risk or start your own business or start your own venture, you're risking all of your time and all of your capital and all the money you've saved in the previous years. And even when you start it, you don't see a return on that money or a return at all for 3, 4, 5, 6 years normally. Like it takes a while. It's a delayed gratification process. So I always love asking people, especially since you had that moment, it must have felt great after 12 years of saving up your money and then 3 years of actually working on this game to finally see it be featured in IGN. That must have, just the wave of emotions that you must have felt must have been great.
Yeah.
So I have one last question for you. And it's kind of similar to what we've been talking about. We've been talking a lot about marketing. We've been talking a lot about, how you had to work hard and save to get to where you are as a game developer. there's going to be other game developers that are watching the showcase right now. And what's the best piece of advice you'd want to give to aspiring indie developers that are watching the showcase?
The one I talk about it, the technical one, is the skating. Just be careful of the skating. Like everyone game over for the same boss. It's a skating problem. So solve that one. But in terms of like a more of a motivation, psychological side, the psychological part of it, that's a very important one, because so many I see, so many of my former colleagues had maybe in total like 400 more, former colleagues in the past, all the my previous work, and I was the only one eventually did it. You know, I got out, I opened my own studio, all of this, and the only difference I see, even they want to do it. Like Steve, even today, they talk to me, they really want to do it, but the psychological aspect of it, any hard work, especially in the game, and especially in indie, because you're alone. Like it's like if you mess up, it's all on you. You cannot blame it on them. Bad things that the producer, bad design, nothing. It's all you, right? So that is very scary. You have to be prepared for that. Like the challenge, the fight is always with you. It's not, you cannot complain anymore. You cannot, the point finger. And the way I found out I could handle it, you can avoid the pain, like the frustration or the stress. The stress is very important. You're not depressed. You're very happy. In terms of depression comes when you don't do anything about your dreams, right? They get stuck in some place, but you see the progress every day. You're fighting for your own war, right? You just one battle. But the pain is there. The stress is the highest pain, because there's no safety anymore. There's no income. Don't expect happiness, because you're not gonna be happy like in a same form of you used to be. Because the stress is always there. There's a bit of pain always there, and because it's a long term, it's gonna happen, right? It's not a 1 day stress, not a one crunch like when you work in a company. It's a 1 month, 2 month, 3 month crunch to meet the deadline. All of it is crunch. All of it is stress, right? Just you don't expect to not feel pain. The pain is there, but you have to have all the motivation, all of the why you're doing it, why you're in this war, why all of the stuff. Before you get into it, make sure you have that amount of I don't want to call it passion, but you have to really want. Really, you just, because some days you think actually it's done. It's done. Just if I do more than this, I'm gonna die. No, you have to really want it. If you don't have to, battle with the part. Oh, okay, I should have worked this hard, that hard. It's just all for you. Just if you do crunch, you do it for yourself. You grow, and at the end, if you win the lottery, all of them goes to you, not some other rich guy. This is you. All of it is you. So just prepare psychologically. Don't expect to be happy like in the same form. You're happy, but it's a different way. So you're not safe. That's the thing. Just you're free, but not safe. Like freedom. If you really care about the freedom side, some people like ignore of the safety. They prefer safety more than freedom. Some people freedom more than safety. Find out who you are, so you actually come up with. It is when you're dealing with this kind of battle, it's not the time to find out who you are and stuff.
Yeah.
Find out who you are before you get into the battle. But find out coach.
That's some great advice for studio developers, indie game developers, and anyone who just wants to take that next step, take that next risk, and do their own thing. Like you said, you're going to have freedom, and that freedom's going to feel good, but you're also going to have all the responsibility. There's no one to blame but you. Like you said, you're the producer, you're the designer, you're the programmer, you're in charge of it all. So I appreciate you hopping on to talk about Death Counter, and you're just honestly just your experience as a game developer and with your past experiences in marketing and for other game projects you've done. I'm excited to have a chance to play this game, and I'm excited to showcase Death Counter to everyone else on this showcase. So is there anything else you'd like to say?
If you like, I can send it. The demo is ready. I can send you even now.
Yes, please. Send me the demo.
Definitely send it over.
Yeah, we have a team of creators who are genuinely interested in trying out your game because they like the concept of you know, playing through the screen and seeing the second POV. So that was great. Before I hop off though, is there anything you want to plug or mention on your end to promote your game?
The game is on Steam, and that how it works is that if you wishlist the game, if you even if you subscribe on my in the YouTube game channel, anything, just it's gonna help. In terms of subscriber and stuff, it's gonna help me in terms of motivation. Every time I put some video on my channel about my games, actually I see some people view it with the best feeling. There's someone actually waiting, or some people actually get notified. But the main thing is that unfortunately how it works is the algorithms care about wishlist. If you're even interested about the game, but you say, oh, when it comes, I'm gonna grab it. The algorithm doesn't care about, because it doesn't know you like the game or you're interested. Just do the wishlist part. Is gonna help a lot, actually.
Okay, sounds good. So we're gonna link your Steam wishlist, or the game for people to wishlist, down in the YouTube comments and while we're live on the showcase next Friday. So guys, please make sure to check it out. You can also look it up on Steam, Death Counter. It'll pop up. It was great interviewing Armon, and I'm excited to see when the game fully comes out.
With the burn from the sun, with the crack to the lungs. Dumb, young, full of a little song. But now she's got me feeling dumb.
That girl is like sunburn on my backside, sinking in the quicksand with my hands tied, shouting at the top of my lungs. But that girl, she got my tongue, so I sing it instead. I sing it, ooh, ooh. Maybe this is all inside my head. I sing it, ooh, ooh. Love will make you mad, then drop you dead. Love will make you mad, then drop you dead. Love will make you mad, then drop you dead.
Baby, take control now. We can't even slow down. We don't have to go out. Stepped into your way. If I'm lucky, I might end up in a hospital. The games you play, when it fuck my head up, could something this could be just as volatile? Broke chains, chemicals, put you on a pedestal. Been chasing your honey like there's money in a pot of gold. Cocaine, dotted nose, damage to my frontal lobe. Chicky, you been with me since the onset.
That girl is like sunburn on my backside, sinking in the quicksand with my hands tied, shouting at the top of my lungs. But that girl, she got my tongue, so I sing it instead. I sing it, ooh, maybe this is all inside my head. I sing it, ooh, love will make you mad, then drop you dead. Love will make you mad, then drop you dead. Love will make you mad, then drop you dead. Love will make you mad, then drop you dead. Love will make you mad, then drop you dead.
1, 2.
River wider than a mile. I'm crossing you in style.
Someday, but you make up my heart, break up wherever you're going. I'm going that way. Two drifters off to see the world. There's such a crazy world to see. We're all chasing after all the same, chasing after all. Such a crazy